Hello and welcome to the Captain's Table, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Paul Berserker01, Batman Shelley, your humble host and bartender at the AstroPub, your space bar at the end of the universe. Is there going to be any alcohol
left in the bar, Paul?
No. CIG is sending me to an early grave, taking all of this, either in celebration or in misery. Your choice. Today, the Captain's Table, generally speaking, is a program where I bring folks from the Star Citizen community to talk about Star Citizen. And today, I have two veterans of the Star Citizen community and veterans of the Captain's Table. I'm going to start with the Sultan of Salt himself, the Stanton Sultan, Mr. HCVertio.
Sultan.
Who are you? What do you do in Star Citizen, and where can they find you?
I am HCVertio. I am a streamer here on Twitch. Do a lot of Star Citizen. We've been doing a lot of other stuff recently, though, taking break from Star Citizen. The best thing you can do if you like Star Citizen sometimes and you find yourself getting upset by it is to take a break and go look at what else there is to do. And that's what we're doing right now. We're trying to desalinate a little bit. Getting prepared for the release of 320 to come out with fresh eyes. And I'm been looking through the patch notes recently, and there's like some good stuff in there. But you can find me over on Twitch at HCVertio on Twitch. You can find me at YouTube at HCVertio on YouTube. Twitter, HCVertio on... Well, it's not Twitter anymore. It's X. X now. Elon wants to do this X thing. X going to give it to you.
It's Twitter. It's Twitter.
It's Twitter.
I'm never going to call it X. It's Twitter.
Yeah. HCVertio on Instagram as well. We do some crappy memes on Instagram from time to time. But there you go, Paul.
All right. And Crucian, who are you? What do you do in Star Citizen, and where can they find you?
Man, I ask myself that question every time. What do I do?
the deep questions, right?
I know. Well, I'm Crucian or Crucian Gaming. You can find me anywhere on any social media site or anywhere on YouTube, Crucian Gaming. For those of you guys that don't know me, I've been streaming and playing Star Citizen since 2015. Been around just as long as Paul. So it's been great continuing to kind of be an ambassador for the game. But what do I do in Star Citizen? So there's a few things that I do. First thing that I do is I am one of the tournament organizers for Ammo Esports. I'm one of I'm the marketing director there. So we run tournaments inside of Star Citizen and we organize them. So if you recently saw a Fight or Flight, which is the 2v2 PvP tournament that was ran by us. If you've seen the Demo Rally, if you've seen our Racing League System 7, that's also been ran by us. I haven't streamed in a minute. It's been about 3 months because I am completely redoing this entire studio from the ground up, and it's taking a lot longer because the life just gets in the way. But I've been heavily playing 320, trying a lot of master modes, and actually playing a lot of 319 as well. I've been doing a little bit of PvP training with a lot of the people in the PvP community, so it's been a lot of fun. But yeah, like I said, you can find me anywhere at Crucian Gaming, and nice to meet everybody.
Awesome. Yeah, I've been a big supporter of Atmo's work for a long time, and it's always good. It shows off a part of Star Citizen that a lot of people don't see.
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to the day when I can open up my bar right next to an Atmo esports event and just have people come watch the whole thing.
I was hoping we would have a community booth at CitizenCon and just the AstroPub, like your bar, just
the bar,
mocktails. You're just serving mocktails or something.
Yes,
because obviously you don't,
Yeah,
the convention's not going to let you sell liquor. I'll tell you that.
I could apply. I've gotten a California liquor license before. I could probably do it.
Okay.
It would take me a couple of months, but when it comes back to Texas, I'll do that.
Awesome,
all right.
Awesome.
All right, so let's start off with the topic for today. The topic for today is 320. Is it worth coming back for 320? Because I know a lot of folks have left Star Citizen since 318. Technical issues, other problems that Star Citizen's had, and a lot of people have kind of drifted away. And of course, as we'll talk about later, there's also a lot more really cool games that have come out since then. Baldur's Gate 3, Starfield, Armored Core 6. I'll talk a little bit about a game that I just found I had been following and just released into early access as well, called Void Crew, plus countless of other games which are coming out soon. So as a result, a lot of people's attention has been kind of diverted. So the kind of main tackle question we're going to be doing is it worth it coming back? But I'll start with you, Crew, and ask the question, what are the goods and bads that you've experienced with 320 so far?
honestly, 320 has a kind of invigorated what I've been doing in Star Citizen, and I'll kind of go into a little bit of detail on that. I haven't I think when 318 came out is when I kind of stopped playing a little bit. And then with the recent tournament that we did for Abo Esports Fight or Flight, I started getting into PvP. And then all of a sudden it's like, hey, we got 320, you got gun rush, you got master modes, you got a lot of different things that you can do and play with with your friends, right? And it has been being able to finally hook up my dual sticks and kind of have different controls of just mouse and keyboard like we normally play all the time is really reinvigorated my love for Star Citizen. It's kind of popped back up. And right now, I've been doing master modes quite a lot. I'm not training to be a PvPer. I'm training mostly for information. So, when we do our events, I kind of have that knowledge. But having my sticks and being able to train and being able to, kind of go into these different modes has been a lot of fun. One thing that I really, really want for them to kind of hurry up and put in is obviously the private matches, so we can start doing our own stuff and having fun with that. But I think it's been a great patch. I'm not going to get into the other games just yet until you ask, Paul. I think it's been a great patch. Is it worth coming back to? As of right now, no.
Okay.
Unless you find a way to reinvigorate your love for the game like I have, because I went from mouse and keyboard. Now I'm using dual sticks, which completely changes the game. I have Toby. I have Game Glass over here. So I have literally everything that's really immersed myself into the game and reinvigorated the way I play, and I love it. But like I said, it's probably right now, as of right now, I don't think it's worth coming back just yet.
Okay. Vertigo, what are your thoughts on 320 so far?
I've played a little bit of 320. My problem with 320 is I was having trouble connecting. I download a patch and just wouldn't let me get into the persistent universe. And then when I could get in, I was like, okay, let's get the whole C out, right? That's the kind of the big draw is the whole C finally is ready to go after, what is it, 6 years, I want to say?
Wow, yeah.
And they sold the concept 6 years ago for the whole C, so it's finally coming out. So and I was constantly struggling trying to get the whole C to actually do what it's supposed to do, trying to load it up. So try a little bit of master mode. I think I'm still kind of out on the fences on master mode. It feels like I definitely feels like what CIG wants the combat to be master mode.
Mm-hmm.
Do I like it? I need to play it more combat scenarios and whatnot. I play a little bit of Arena Commander with 3 or 4 people. And it's just okay, I can see what CIG is going for. I see what they want to do with it. And this is kind of what I expect, because they want that Wing Commander flight model where you're in Wing Commander 1, 2, 3, 4, Prophecy, Wing Commander Privateer. You were pretty close when you were shooting at ships.
Mm-hmm.
And, you could almost see the pilot in the cockpit. That's how close you were for combat. And that's what CIG wants out of Star Citizen. Your guns have animations for a reason, by the way, folks. It's believe it or not, a lot of the guns, the ship guns in Star Citizen have animations. You can't see those animations if you're over a kilometer away. So CIG wants to draw everyone in closer, and that's what Master Mode's designed to do. So I could see where they're going with it. I need more playtime with Master Mode, but really 320 has to get into a better spot before I could feel I could enjoy it, before I can really kind of give feedback on it. And that's you can't log in sometimes. You're constantly crashing out. You're constantly having problems with the UI and whatnot. So it's really hard for me to have an opinion on that. But I'm liking some of the patch notes I'm reading here. HDR updates, combat logging. Finally, after so many years, we're finally getting anti-combat logging measures.
I believe it's 10 minutes. So once you've logged out of the game, you have 10 minutes in game before it logs you out.
Yeah,
which is also a nice crash feature. Now if you crash out, you have 10 minutes to get back into the game.
Hopefully.
So, hopefully.
Yeah. I mean, it's just Star Citizen, right? Even the features can sometimes malfunction.
Yeah.
MFD persistence, key binding updates. You wanted to say something?
No, I just say MFD persistence was a big headache for a lot of people, so I'm happy about that one.
I'm especially one of those people that loves doing ground missions, so you're constantly getting out of your ship, getting back into your ship, getting out of your ship, getting back into your ship. So having certain ships, you constantly have to keep redoing the MFDs, especially if you get interrupted, like in between missions, like you get interdicted or something. And it's just like, oh, I need my MFDs to be a certain way. So that's nice of CIG to give us some MFD persistence.
Yep.
More performance fixes and whatnot. Can't remember what else they were doing. I'm kind of looking for the patch notes here to remember what else.
They did the
excited
Moby
about.
Glass update as well, where you can actually see it a lot better, which I think is like that quality of life stuff is incredible.
There was a lot of quality of life stuff I wanted to mention, but I can't remember them all right now for some reason, Paul.
The changes to bunkers as well. Like they gave each bunkers.
According to what I read, was the bunkers, they basically just redid all the bunkers with the current workflow. So everything is exactly the same, but they moved everything over to the new workflow.
Yep. So they've changed some of the appearances as well. So like they gave them a little bit more, like the mining outposts look different from the security outposts and stuff like that. But it's subtle. It's the same assets, just subtle differences.
I think that's kind of like I think you hit the nail on the head of what I'm going to say about Star Citizen 20 is that there's very subtle changes to Star Citizen. If you've been on a hiatus from Star Citizen for about 6 months, maybe if you like played 318, you're like, oh, this is awful, I'm gonna wait a little bit. 320, maybe you come back in if you've been with Star Citizen for a while and you notice all the quality of life stuff, like, hey, this is kind of nice.
Yep.
But if you've been like a streamer, a content creator for Star Citizen, you've been playing like every day, like downloading 320 is not going to be that much difference other than the quality of life fixes. I don't even know if Master Mode going to come over to 320, or are they going to take that out once it gets out of the PTO? I don't know.
The way that they've said it is they're going to add it to the rotation. So every couple of, maybe every week or every few weeks, they're going to have a experimental mode, and then they'll rotate that out into a new experimental mode every so often to keep it fresh. So if you want to play it, they'll tell you, hey, the Master Mode's version of Vandal Swarm will be available from this time to this time. You can just hop onto the Arena Commander and go play it. And that's what they're going to be doing from now on going forward, is that every new patch, they'll have a new cycle of experimental modes that they'll run live.
By the way, have you tried the new Vandal Swarm? That thing is awesome, man.
It is rough.
I need to step in and try it.
Yes, it is. It's a different vibe from the one they had before, man, but I like it a lot, so I'm not going to complain.
I'll step in and say, in general, like, I haven't been able to play it. I've been able to see it, but I've been focused on other things. And the one thing that I will definitely, this is good and bad, this is the Arena Commander patch. That's what it is. It's the Arena Commander patch. And I know a lot of people will poo-poo that, being like, oh, well, Arena Commander, I don't play the game for Arena Commander. It's like, yeah, but you kind of will, because Arena Commander needs to be updated, needs to be improved, because it is a huge part of playing and learning how to play the game, because as Star Citizen is developing further, as the PU becomes more developed, there's going to be a lot more consequences for things like damaging and death. And Arena Commander is that place where you can go in and learn how to do this, X, Y, or Z. And as that develops further, you'll want to use it more. So learning how to use it now is probably a good idea in general, because you're going to end up using it a lot just for playing the game. And I think that's a good thing in general, is having some ability with a game as tough as Star Citizen is trying to be, to have a place where you can just screw around and have fun. So, but generally speaking, it feels like the quality of life patch. I think that's what CIG is even kind of couching it as, is the quality of life patch. Even though it's the Q3 patch, which is usually their biggest patch, it seems more low key than normal.
Well, 318 kind of punched everything in the dick.
Yeah.
Like, considering like 318 was the longest patch, and was the P2 for 318 was like the longest ever, from my recollection. So that kind of threw off the cadence this year. So normally this patch, like Paul said, would be the biggest patch, but because 318 was such a disruption to the release cycle, like something had to break, something had to give. But I'm happy for a quality of life patch.
I mean, I feel like it's just gonna come back and break again, anyways, once we get server meshing in. But I think what they're saying is that they're putting in little bits at a time, which I think is, hopefully it doesn't affect us too much like PES did, because it really broke. A lot of things. So
I think CIG is trying to strategically add stuff that are easy. easy
Yeah.
for them to add, and also stuff that's less likely to break, like the idea of the persistence for MFDs. That's just like an adding persistence to the MFDs sort of situation, rather than being so. Like, I don't think that's going to necessarily break. It probably have some problems when stuff happens, but I don't think it's going to necessarily completely shatter. And a lot of the optimizations they're doing is mostly just moving stuff away from DX11 towards Vulkan, and that process is probably improving some of the graphical experiences here and there, like having HDR for HDR monitors available, those sorts of things. That little stuff.
HDR makes the game look more pretty.
Yeah. So, Vertigo, I'm going to ask you this question, and then Crucian's kind of already answered it, but I'll ask your Scooter again. So, for those people who are waiting for the game to come back, who should be coming back to enjoying 320? What are the kind of person to come back to enjoy 320?
If you bought a Hull C,
okay,
in my opinion, that's probably it. Because again, this is going to be the Arena Commander patch. If you want to try out Master Mode, go for it. When you get feedback for Star Citizen on that, for CIG on Master Mode. But like I said, this is going to be a quality of life patch. Like, unless you're like really committed, almost married to Star Citizen in some way, like you're a content creator or you're a super fan, somebody who really likes the idea of Star Citizen. I'm not quite sure how most people's mileages could be very low on this patch.
Okay.
You're not going to get a lot out of it in terms of fun, because it's basically going to be like the previous patch, some quality of life. You're going to have a Hull C. The Hull C basically has like 4 trade routes it could do from like one station to another station to another station. That's about it. So you're going to come in, you're going to do a couple trade runs with the Hull C. You're going to extend it. You're going to retract it. You're going to land it. You're going to take it off. You're going to shoot at it a couple of times. And you're like, okay, cool. It's in the game. I'm excited that it's finally done. Right? CIG's finally kind of getting the backlog kind of cleared up. The dust is kind of scraped off this thing. And the nice thing about the Hull C being out now is that most CIG kind of knows what most of their ships are going to have and entail inside them. So the fact that I think Jared Huckabee said it the best is like, you want the old ships to be worked on last because it means they're going to be the most feature complete.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the nice thing about the Hull C. And like I said, like I want Star Marine to work a lot better, right? But Star Marine has been in such a bad state for a long time that I'm not really holding my breath that people will break away from whatever current released thing they're enjoying to come back to play Star Citizen.
Yep.
I mean, we're going to talk about current games that are distracting everybody these days.
Yeah.
And right now, the meat and potatoes, the thing that has the most game that you can sink your teeth into is the persistent universe in Star Citizen.
Mm-hmm.
And Arena Commander is kind of like an appetizer or a side dish of something. And it's the mode is just rotted away for so long. And I don't know if people are going to be interested in come back. They're going to come back there to check it out. They're like, oh, it has some issues. And they're going to go back to playing like Baldur's Gate 3 or Counter-Strike 2.0 or Valorant or Call of Duty Warzone, whatever battle royale that's popular this week. That kind of stuff. So I don't know if I could recommend 320 to everybody. Like,
okay.
I'm going to leave it there. I can keep going on forever, but I basically made my point.
And Crucian, you have anything to add about who you'd recommend 320 to come back for? People come back.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with HC. I think the whole C is definitely a good point, but I think a way that if CIG wants some like data on more people playing, like do something with AC where if you complete the new Pirate Swarm, you get a skin for the arrow this time around, or you get a skin for something, right? That way people can actually get in there and be excited to play some of these new modes, because people are just like, I mean, they did the Vandal Storm, they did, the Pirate skin for the Gladius. Add something to it that when you do push 320 live, you're going to have a lot of fun trying to do something for something that you will get rewarded for. And then they can get a lot more data if they want to. It's just a skin, or just, for a ship that you might have or fly, or for the Mustang, whatever it is. That's what I would do. And then I'm going to say one thing. If you're a racing fan, The Fury LX, my lord, that thing looks incredible. I think if you're a racing fan, let's not forget about the racing fans. All of those new maps in 320, that is going to be, something for people to watch. So if you're a big racing fan, I think 320 is a great time to come back. But again, that kind of jumps into what HCVertio said. If you're an Arena Commander fan, you come back. If you're a Hull C fan, you come back. But I think racing, especially for ships, they're definitely doing a great job at taking up another level. But like if you play with your friends, you got Tonk Battle Royale, you got a lot of different things. So hopefully that with that experimental mode that they're really testing things, if people really really like it and they see a lot of participation, maybe they make something permanent, right? So but yeah, I would say right now, if you're not a racing fan, if you're not a Hull C fan, if you don't want to test out master modes and you just want to wait till it's fully fleshed out, then I would say just kind of like move forward and continue playing with the other games that you're currently playing. Yep.
Yeah, I have a hard time recommending this for everyone, I'd say, with 320, because it seems it's very much more low key in terms of a patch. So unless you're like a massive Star Citizen fan and just want to play the game, then I wouldn't necessarily say come on back. Because as the next topic we're going to talk about is the other games that are distracting people from Star Citizen. And so I'll ask both of these wonderful folks about those games that they've been playing, and if they're good or not. And then we'll get into the last little topic before we get into the question and answers. So, Crew, what are the games that you're doing other than Star Citizen right now?
Oh man, very good question. So I have not been. Well, I do have some other games. I'm still trying to 100% God of War Ragnarok, and then I have Final Fantasy 16 over here waiting for me to start once I finish God of War. I have been watching people play Starfield, obviously, but I haven't played it myself. Best Buy delayed my Constellation edition, and I will not play it until that thing gets to my front door. So I've been waiting already like 2 weeks. So, but the thing is, man, I don't think no matter what game we end up playing, as a true Star Citizen fan, we're gonna play these games, and like people need to understand, instead of getting upset that the game's not done yet, instead of getting upset that things are not done yet, man, go enjoy these other games, because the second that we ever in this lifetime, in the next 4 years, whenever, it doesn't matter. When that game comes out, we're not going to have time to play nothing else. So as of right now, enjoy the other games that you're playing and just have fun, man. And Star Citizen is always going to be there for you to come back and try out these new things that, the new patches are going to start bringing in. So yeah. But the thing is, like, I've seen a lot of opinions out there about Starfield. I really like the game so far, but the thing is, just like No Man's Sky, Starfield is a one-player game. It's a RPG. You're gonna want to be like, I want to play with a friend. What do I do?
Hold on now. You're saying I can't play with No Man's Sky with a friend?
You can now, but not.
Yeah, they have a multiplayer update out.
Oh yeah. Wow, well, that's news to me, because I haven't touched it since I refunded it back 5 years ago or whenever how long it was. But
I'm sorry I had to pull it actually on you there, but
no, I didn't know. I don't. Yeah. Well, I mean, now it is, but back then it wasn't. But I'm just saying, like, even with No Man's Sky, like, it doesn't have the realism that Star Citizen does. So I'm going to play that, and I'm going to get probably tired of the same thing doing over and over, and then I'm just going to go right back to Star Citizen. So
we have to make a distinction here, because No Man's Sky at release was a completely different product than No Man's Sky today.
It was a dumpster fire at release.
Yes.
It was
at
release.
Yeah.
So I'm not entirely surprised that somebody refunded No Man's Sky.
Yeah,
I mean, back then, but they did a great job of coming back, because I see, Captain Richard, I see, DJ played, but it just wasn't for me at the time. So, but all I'm saying is that all these games, the roads are going to lead back to Star Citizen no matter what, because you want to play with a friend, or you want to do more than just collecting materials in No Man's Sky, or whatever's going on with the game right now. That's all I'm saying. Yeah. Like, I feel like all roads are going to lead back to what we're playing in. I think that the game is going to see, I mean, obviously we all know this, but the game is going to see the highest active user base the second Pyro comes out.
Yeah. Vertigo. What are other games that you've been playing that have been distracting?
Oh man, I've been enjoying Armored Core 6.
That's
I'm going
a good one.
through. Yeah, first Armored Core game I've ever played because they finally released one for the PC. But it's made by for those who don't know, Armored Core is made by the same people that made Elden Ring and Dark Souls. From Software.
Yeah.
So it's one of those games where you basically have to know how to push all the buttons in the correct order to actually complete the mission. It doesn't really it's not easy. There's no easy mode. There's no story selection option. You can't just difficulty select story mode. You can't do that with From Software games.
Yep.
And also we've been playing Starfield. We got the super special extra califragilist deluxe edition. We had one of my members of my community purchase it for me, so I managed to get early access to it. And there was, believe it or not, there was mods available
already.
Yeah, while I was in early before he was officially released to everybody, all the plebs. I've been enjoying it. I was reading on Twitter recently that someone had given Starfield a 4 out of 10, and then we were talking with my community, and I was just like, it's not a 4 out of 10. No. It's not that bad.
No.
I've played games that are 4 out of 10s. I've done it. Alien, what was it? Aliens versus Predator: Primal Hunt. I believe that was an awful game. I've played games that are really bad. I've played a 1 out of 10 once, and it was a game that was literally released in alpha. It was Sword of the Stars 2. That game didn't work at release when it was finally released to the community. It was basically like it was worse than Star Citizen. So when someone tells me a Star Citizen's a 4 out of 10, I just tell them like they don't know what they're talking about. Starfield right now. Did I say Star Citizen?
You said Star Citizen.
I got the wires crossed in my head.
Yeah.
So Starfield is not at a 4 out of 10. Starfield is not. People ask me, is Starfield fun? And I say I had to admit that my sense of fun is a little bit warped thanks to all the Star Citizen I play. I remember 3.18 and struggling with 3.18, and when I load up Starfield, it's like it works. You get to launch into the game, you load into your character. Occasionally you have NPCs doing the derpy Bethesda stuff where they like phase through like furniture and whatnot to get to like to walk to like an object or something to grab it. Yeah, but sometimes it crashes, but I can play it. It works. It's fun. So, Crucian, when your copy arrives, I'm pretty sure you're going to enjoy your experience with it because I've been enjoying my experience with Starfield.
One thing I'll add to you real quick is that Starfield release wasn't as bad as Cyberpunk.
No, it wasn't. I was expecting a lot worse of a release for a Bethesda game.
It was even better than Fallout 76. Like Fallout 76 was a disaster, but like
it was. That's a 4 out of 10. That's a 3 out of 10.
Yeah. So yeah, we've been enjoying that. I've been going back and playing Dark Souls. I want 100% Dark Souls Prepare to Die. It's not the remaster. I'm playing Dark Souls Prepare to Die with some mods, and I'm gonna get all the achievements for the original Dark Souls because I just had a few left. And I'm just like, I gotta finish this, get it, because I like Dark Souls. I have like 230 hours in the game so far, so I might as well just get all the achievements. So I've been doing that on the side as well. And of course, we're playing Battlefield 2042 in our off hours. So there's options out there. What do you got, Paul? What are you playing on the side? What are you playing? What are you streaming?
I'm actually playing 2 games. There's 2 games that came out recently. That one of them, which is obviously Starfield. I was lucky enough to get an early release version, so like before it even got out, before the early. So I've had it for about a month now. And playing it, I have 50 plus hours into it, and it's fun. I haven't even beat the main story yet. I've like intentionally avoided the main story, and I've been messing around for 50 hours. It's been good. I like, especially for people who have like Xbox Game Pass, it's fantastic. $10 for that game is a steal. It's an absolute 100%. Steal for that game.
100%.
But I've also been playing a new game, which is actually on sale right now. It's published by Focus, the same people who were doing Space Marine 2, and they did Dark Tide, and they've done a couple of other kind of small indie games. It's called Void Crew.
Is that a sequel to like Void Bastards?
I don't know if it is or not.
Because Void Bastards was this roguelike prison simulator thing where you're a prisoner and they threw you out into this universe. You had to go into starships to like collect stuff, and like you had this roguelike elements.
No, not really. It's not really that. It's I'm going to tell you this, and Vertigo is going to get very excited about it. This is a game I would suggest you play, Vertigo.
Oh no.
It is, if you took the aesthetics of what is it? Oh, Tenno, I know is the name.
Oh, you're talking about Warframe?
Warframe, yeah. Take the aesthetics of Warframe.
Warframe.
And you take the multi-crew gameplay of Sea of Thieves.
Oh,
okay.
And you smash it with Deep Rock Galactic. That's what it is.
That sounds cool.
It's fun.
That sounds really, yeah.
It's based off of 4-player co-op. You go out and you do a mission, and you do the mission, you get resources, and those resources you can build on your ship, and you can make different like guns or shields, and you have to like manage those resources. You have a pilot, you have people who can use the gunners, you have the people who can craft things, and as you destroy enemies, they drop loot boxes, and you can take those loot boxes and you can turn them into resources, which you can then repair your ship or build new items or upgrade your weapons for each mission. And each mission is like usually like 1 to 3 different chains, and you jump from point to point to point. And each time you do that, you do a new mission. You do part of it. If you successfully complete it, you get little bonuses unlocks, and then your character can upgrade specific skills. So if you want to be a better pilot, you can get better at different piloting skills, different gunning skills, repair, EVA.
Right.
And there is a bit of an EVA system where you EVA out and do like repairs or gather things. There's no shooting that I can see in that, like no combat for EVA, but it's mostly just like part of the like resource and collection stuff. So I've been watching it since it was announced at E3 this year, or E3. We didn't really have E3, but like that at that time. And it's good. It's good. It's in early access. It was released on Thursday.
Yeah, I just watched the trailer real quick back here. Just kind of scanned through it. I'm just like I'm getting kind of like a little bit of No Man's Sky vibes in it. Deep Rock Galactic.
It's like it has the Deep Rock Galactic. You go back to the like main central hub, and you can change your characters' skins, and you can hang out in a lobby with 4 other players, and then you launch into a mission with them, and then you do the mission through it that way. So. This game's called Void Crew. So if you're a Star Citizen fan who's been looking for a game to play with friends at a multi-crew ship battle game, that will reward you for playing it and keep you kind of give you like upgrades for ship upgrades, and like you get different like loadouts depending on your rank and different like aesthetic changes, and it's an early access. And it's on sale for like $17 on Steam right now. So
that sounds fun.
Yeah. So one of my chat members called it the Space of Thieves, and I'm like, that's about right. So I played a little bit of it yesterday, and it was very, very good. It was very good in my experience. So, and it was very well like optimized. I didn't have to see a lot of like problems with it. So now these are all fun. These are all good games, and we actually are having more coming out. Like City Skylines 2 is coming out in October, and I'm gonna sink my life into that for a couple of days.
I've never played it, so I'm not touching it.
Do you enjoy city builder games, Crucian, like SimCity and stuff like that?
I have played Roller Coaster Tycoon, things like that, but never City Skylines. I watch a lot of Salty Mike play it, but never touched it at all.
City Skylines is they're like Factorio, Satisfactory. It's where you build stuff and you get your city running and whatnot. You can just waste hours on aesthetics. Like I want this block to look a certain way, and I want to make these roads go this way. These roads
I want to improve like traffic jams. There's no traffic jams here, and so like figure out.
And then you have to build a football stadium to make more money because it's required by the game. The mayor comes down. The governor comes down and says, "We're going to build a football stadium right in the middle of your city," and you have to figure out how to divert all the traffic to deal with all the new traffic coming in. It's like,
why does that remind me of the Tony Z presentation of him doing Quanta?
It is basically that. It's the like. Ironically, I would say like it's one of those things where CIG could take some of their technology and build their own version of City Skylines and like run a space solar system. Like
I did that gig for CitizenCon 2017 where they showed off the technology they used to build ArcCorp.
Yeah,
they had like they would procedurally generate like blocks for ArcCorp and have skyscrapers and whatnot. I'm like, they could just make their own city builder right now with this technology.
They're good. It's nuts how much that they could do if they wanted to, but
Yeah.
they're already stuck doing 2 different games at once, and it's sucking their souls away. So we talked about other games. Now let's do the last little, like, kind of this last bit before we go into the question and answers, because we got to always ask the question. I'm going to start with you, this Vertigo. With things like Starfield coming out, is Star Citizen dying? Is Star Citizen going to be dead? Is it dead on arrival? 90 days tops? No.
The only thing that's going to kill Star Citizen is Star Citizen. And I can't remember which one of you said it today on the podcast, but you said something that sounded like, I can't remember what was it. It was like
all roads lead to Star Citizen.
No, it was kind of to be derisive for Star Citizen. It's just like, oh, Star. No, it was something was very positive about Star Citizen that I wanted to bring up, but I should have wrote it down. It was just ignore Star Citizen. If you're frustrated by Star Citizen, just go play something else, right?
Yep.
And as long as Star Citizen's getting updated, the red flags for most games that die is lack of communication from developers, lack of updates. When the developers go radio silence and game being put into maintenance mode, essentially. So when CIG stops talking to us and we stop seeing a lot of updates, that's when you need to start worrying about Star Citizen going down the toilet. But they're making money every year. All the sales, every time they do a free flight, they're still making money. They're still releasing updates. 3.18 was a big update, even though it wasn't well received. And there's still 3.20 is coming out. And I saw a post, I think it was from Tyler Wicken, that says 3.21. They're still kind of working out what's going to be in 3.21.
It was Jake, I think, talked about it. Yeah,
Jake talked about Jake Acapella or something. I saw that, so it's not going to be 4.0 this year, folks. 3.21 is going to be the end of the patch. So I don't think Starfield's a single player game.
Yeah,
No Man's Sky is a multiplayer game. You see this, you can go look at, if you're on Steam, you can go look at Steam achievements for games like Armored Core 6 or Starfield or anything, and you see how the achievement graph goes. Like, the easiest achievements have the most accomplished ones. Most people have those easy achievements. And then as you get towards the end of the game, where you have to beat the final boss, you start seeing the community drop off. It tapers down. And the same thing happens with the player base. A new game releases. Baldur's Gate has 800,000 people playing it on Steam at release, and then you check back like 2 months later, and it's down to like 2,000.
Yep.
That happens to every game. And some people, like, they have a giant hate boner for a very specific game for some reason, and they like to point at those numbers and say, hey, look how many people were playing at release. Look how many people are playing now. Well, that just happens to single player games. It also happens to multiplayer games too. You have a big update, and CIG's been massaging the PTU experience because they want to kind of take advantage of that phenomenon. When they release a new update, they're gating entrances to the PTU to kind of get huge waves so they can do more stress testing, because they want more people to play the test patch, but people don't want to play the test patch because people are tired of playing test patches. So again, I come back to my point that Star Citizen's going to kill Star Citizen because people are going to get tired of playing Star Citizen. They're going to get tired of all the bugginess. They're going to get tired of like the just Stanton. They're going to get tired of just like, oh, it's, the drip of content. Oh, here's the whole sea with like 4 trade routes. Here's Arena Commander. Yeah, but we have better games than Arena Commander right now. Like, sure, you can use Arena Commander to test, ship builds and whatnot, or you can go to Star Marine to like polish your FPS shooting. But if there's no one playing Arena Commander with you, then what is there to test, right? I mean, you could do a Vandal Swarm. You could do, excuse me. You could do Vandal Swarm. I wish we had like a horde mode for like Star Marine as well.
Marine.
Like a NPC
Oh,
mode.
that would be so
That would be
good.
nice.
With just Vandal just coming at you the whole time. Oh, that would be sick.
But anyway, that's kind of like my opinion on is Baldur's Gate 3 going to kill Star Citizen? No. Is Starfield going to kill Star Citizen? No. Armored Core 6 going to kill Star Citizen? No.
Someone's in chat was asking, do we have the Star Citizen daily player numbers? CIG doesn't release those numbers, but they have said it in the past.
I think Chris Roberts said 2 years ago, was like, this update was like our best congruent year or something. We had like 20.
Yeah, it was last year.
It was very, very he kind of obfuscated the numbers a little bit. It wasn't very clear about it, but you could kind of guess. But then the CEO comes out and says this is the best year ever. The CEO can say whatever they want because of puffery, right?
Yeah.
You can legally do that. You can say our product's the best product ever, and you try to sue them because it's not the best product. Clearly, it's not the best product because we did a scientific study that says your product's not the best, but you came out and said it was the best. We're going to sue you for false advertising, and you can't because why would a corporation be required to say their product sucks?
Yeah.
Right.
But the difference is that he did put out actual hard numbers. So like we do have some hard numbers, but they're a little dated now. It was like last year, and it was some of the best. It was some of the best numbers they've had in a long time. So
I can tell you what, almost nobody was playing 3.18 though.
Yeah.
Because nobody could log in.
We couldn't.
That's kind of like the point. It's like we don't know the numbers because CIG won't tell us the numbers because they probably are way lower compared to what they were before.
I remember when World of Warcraft had subscriber numbers on the launch on the main menu, and then they took that number away because it was embarrassing. That's probably that when I see CIG not talking about their player numbers, they don't have like some way to confirm how many people are playing Star Citizen. That's kind of what I think of the numbers. Like it must be an embarrassingly low number. You can look at Twitch too for player numbers as well. Like it's not a direct 1-to-1, but it does give you an idea of like community interest in a project. Like when Twitch numbers are high, a lot of people want to watch that game. Some games are not watchable, and I'm sure Crucian understands this. Some games they just don't generate any views on Twitch because maybe it's like a single player story game. It's like you're just watching somebody click options on the screen or doing that kind of stuff, as opposed to games like League of Legends, Valorant, Counter-Strike Go, which are very competitive and there's a lot of stuff happening. And you can cast those games too, where you can have like a couple guys talking about what strategies are going on. It adds even more action, get that kind of ESPN kind of thing going. Star Citizen can be that, but right now I do see kind of like the interest in Star Citizen waning a bit. It could just because it's the lull to CitizenCon, or it could be just there's a bunch of other stuff out that people are now, something new and shiny has been released. We're all magpies, right? We see something shiny on the ground. We're over there investigating. And we forget about Star Citizen because Star Citizen is not shiny anymore. It's kind of tarnished and dulled with age. But people will come back to Star Citizen. Will everybody come back to Star Citizen? That's a question.
That's a good question. But I mean, I will say that like what surprised me was I'm looking at the category right now. There are about almost 4,000 people watching Star Citizen right now on Twitch, which is a lot. Considering what's been, like Starfield has usually been drawing a lot of people's attention, and then like there was 2,000 people watching Void Crew last night, and there's only like 500, 600 people watching Star Citizen last night. And now suddenly there's triple those numbers. So it could also mean that there's just a lot of the hype for things like Starfield came out, and then it's sort of, now that it's out, a lot of people are playing it and they're not watching it, or they're just kind of like, oh, it's the game, it happened, and then and like are moving away from it. That happens a lot, as you were saying earlier. Like the hype dies for games, especially single player games, after the first couple of months, and then people kind of go back. So
I like the idea of Baldur's Gate though. I want them to see them do more with it. Baldur's Gate isn't a game I quite appreciate, but I feel like role playing games have been an underserved genre for several years, and I'm glad that we're seeing more role playing games come out, like Starfield and Baldur's Gate 3. It's a genre that's been neglected, and it's nice to see that, like almost like bell bottoms. It comes, fashion. It comes into fashion, it goes out of fashion, then comes back into fashion after a decade or so. We're starting to see RPGs come back into fashion again. And like I said, it's a genre that I've been kind of hungry for, especially space RPGs like Starfield. It's just like, oh, cool.
We don't see a lot of them.
Yeah, there's not much, man. You know how much I love BattleTech, man. I wish they'd come out with a part 2 or part 3. I love, because it's a strategy RPG, but I sucked in so much hours into that game.
Yeah,
it was absolutely fantastic.
The turn-based, I love that. Yeah. Crew, what are your thoughts? Do you think that these new releases, things like Armored Core and Starfield, are killing Star Citizen? Star Citizen dying?
First thing I'll say is that after Vertigo was talking so much about like how many people are active, I'll say something like, I wonder how many people would be active if people are like Detox or myself or the Atmo team or XGR running events. I want to see how much we are keeping up with keeping the player base going, because when we're doing events literally year round and people need to prepare. Like, I mean, I'm pretty sure after CitizenCon is going to start the uptick of people practicing for Demo Rally. In January, I just would love to know, like, how much is the community responsible for doing all these events, keeping that player base, how much of that player base we're keeping active. That's something that I'm really interested about. But I think Vertigo hit the nail on the head pretty hard with all the games right now. All the games. I'm just glad that there's options out there, that people can play. But one thing is that is going to make people upset is that, like, oh man, I wish Star Citizen was done, because I could, it could be this. They keep comparing it to like Starfield. And one thing that I'm actually in my head that maybe not many people talk about is, like, I really hope that CIG don't get new ideas from Starfield and start changing stuff in the game. And I'm over here like, don't do that, But I know they have a path. I know they have ideas. But like, I mean, when something works, I mean, I'm not saying they're going to replicate it, but maybe that system is a good idea in the game. Mm-hmm. And sometimes I think about things like that. Like, I really hope that it doesn't really change the path that we're going in, because I feel like they're going pretty quickly now, as opposed to 4 or 5 years ago, and it doesn't really tell them, yo, this is a good idea, let's try this. That's what I'm scared most about. And then obviously we got Bungie making Marathon, which I'm not sure if that's going to be a Destiny-like game or another.
I think it's an extraction shooter similar to
the Tarkov. Okay, yeah. Okay, thank goodness then. So. But yeah, man, I think all these games, I'm just glad we have something out there that we can play while we wait for Star Citizen to continue developing and continue growing. Like right now they have 4.6 million accounts or something like that. We're very close to 5 million accounts. And I think like the player base in Star Citizen is around maybe like I think maybe 80,000. So it's not even a little bit of how many people have accounts. And then I did the calculations as well. Each of those accounts has spent $125 in the game, which is insane, because we kind of match it to, the 600 million. So, like for people to make an account and spend around 125,000, it's pretty incredible. I mean, sorry, $125, per account, which is incredible. But I think, again, I think for right now, to enjoy the games that are out, please have fun. And then whenever you're ready, if you think 320 is a great patch, come back to it. Try it out for a week. Go back to the games that you were playing, because we all need some type of break. Because I know... I'm not sure if you saw that clip where Dr. Disrespect was getting killed in Starfield and it shifts overtime. So you will get upset. Just take a break, come back, and then, keep doing that over and over. More games are going to keep coming out. Like, remember, the time where games are released are in that, like, right when summer's ending, like August and October is when all the new releases are out every single time. So that's why, I think CIG tries to make the big patches, because maybe they're trying to compete with those bigger games. But I mean, it's not going to stop us from going to play something else and coming back. But yeah, I think it frustrates people because they're like, man, I love Starfield, but I wish Star Citizen was done so I can play that with my friends,
Yeah.
Play,
you play through Starfield and you're like, man, we got working NPCs walking around your ship talking to you and like doing stuff and interacting with the ship stuff. I wish that was in Star Citizen.
Yeah.
Why isn't that working, Paul?
Yeah. Don't ask me.
I know, right?
It's because you touch yourself at night, Vertigo. That's the reason why.
Yes. Christ Roberts sees what I do to myself at night. Yes. That's why it's delayed.
I'll of course answer. I know. Like I've been around long enough to, and I know all of us have been around long enough to hear everything under the sun was going to kill Star Citizen at one point, and this is going to sound weird for those newer folks in the community, but Call of Duty Infinite Warfare was going to kill Star Citizen.
Oh my goodness.
That's how long Star Citizen's been in development.
Yes. Just to give you some context in terms of like what was going to kill Star Citizen. So I've heard this song and dance many times. Does that mean that Starfield is a bad game, or is because Starfield isn't killing Star Citizen? Does that mean it's going to like the Star Citizen's going to die, or Starfield is a bad game? No, Starfield's good. It's its own thing. It's not trying to kill Star Citizen.
Sony just gonna push it forward.
Yeah. And I'm a big believer in a rising tide floats all ship, also floats all boats. And I think one of the problems, the reason why we haven't seen a lot of space RPGs or games set in space in general, is because a lot of, especially AAA companies, don't seem to think that there's a profit in that sort of genre or in that sort of setting. And so they just don't really do it. And there's a couple of indie games here and there that have tried it. They tried different formulas for it. But now that Starfield is out, and hopefully is so far what I can tell, it's been a pretty big success in terms of sales. If it becomes as big of a success as Microsoft hopes it is going to be, then maybe other companies like Ubisoft or Sony or other things will start going, hey, let's invest in our own little space endeavors, and that will then get more games out there. And the more those games are out there, someone will be like, I really enjoyed Starfield, but I really wish I could be on a ship with my friends and go explore and that kind of stuff. And now suddenly they'll look for it and they'll find Star Citizen. And I think that's really what's going to happen. And I think in general, the idea of this sort of toxic confrontational relationship between communities is stupid. like
100%.
All of us, we've just talked about how we playing a bunch of other games, and because we play video games, we are the gamers and we play games. Star Citizen is something we like to do, and it's something that I make a lot of content for. We all kind of make content for, but we enjoy other games too. So Starfield is in fact not killing Star Citizen. It is in fact helping Star Citizen, which is, again, sounds weird. I know plenty of people call that hopium or copium, but I watch in October. It's going to happen in October, where Citizen
also
Con
you
comes
could
around
you could enjoy and play than more than one game, as we've all talked about today. It is possible. I've Armored Core 6, Dark Souls, Starfield, and you could enjoy more than one game unless you're poor. But then again, why are you playing Star Citizen if you're poor? Star Citizen's not for the poors.
Well, you can play for free
right now. Oh,
yeah.
Right now, yeah. Is a free fly still? I thought it ended today.
I think it ended today, but they'll almost certainly there'll be another one in October around Citizen Con. It's just so they have them so often these days. I think that's we're going to end that for the discussion so far. So thank you so much for joining us so far. We're going to be heading into the question and answer session. We're going to take a few minutes break, and so we can use the restroom, get other things. But in the meantime, make sure you're checking out Crucian and check out Atmo Esports, and of course check out HCVertio on all of his social medias as well. And if you enjoyed this so far, please hit that follow button on Twitch. If you're watching this on YouTube after the fact, make sure you hit that subscribe button and like the video, and of course comment down below on your own thoughts. We'll take a few minutes to go use the restrooms and get some other stuff, and we'll be back with a question and answer session. So don't go anywhere. All right, I'll be right back, y'all.
Sir.
All right. According to StreamDB, the Starfield player count currently sits at 159,661 players in PC version of the game. That's a lot for Starfield, yeah.
I think you have way more on console, millions in console, but yeah.
Yeah, consoles usually do really good,
especially with Xbox Game Pass, where you only got to pay $10. Yeah. Yep.
And you got multiple ways of playing Starfield. So, 100,000 copies for a AAA game, that's not much. That's pathetic, honestly. But Starfield released on Xbox and PlayStation, I believe. I have to go look this up to see what it released on. And also it's on Game Pass, so Game Pass has a completely separate launcher. So you're not going to get numbers for how many people are playing on Game Pass. Yeah, Game Pass, Xbox Series X, S, Windows, Steam. So it's not for the PlayStation, it's just Xbox right now. Because Microsoft bought ZeniMax, and therefore they own Bethesda.
Yep.
So it's going to be go for it.
I was going to say, I wonder if they're going to work on making another Mass Effect. Was that Bethesda or is that BioWare?
That's BioWare. And
that's BioWare?
Yes,
okay.
They've announced, they showed a teaser for Mass Effect 4 2 years ago, I want to say, so we know it's BioWare's working on it, but
I see Cruz back
I have
as well.
almost no hope that BioWare is going to do a good job, because honestly, Everyone that made BioWare special has left BioWare.
Oh yeah, it's not BioWare. It's not the same BioWare that you're used to. It's kind of like Bethesda. Like the people who made Bethesda games before Morrowind that don't exist anymore.
Oh
like,
yeah.
Like Vastin in the stream chat brings up a good point. BioWare laid off 50 employees. Meanwhile, like Baldur's Gate 3 releases and it's huge success, and then Starfield comes out, huge success, and BioWare is like, "No, we're gonna get rid of 50 people because sadness."
Man, you know which game I'm salty about? I'm salty about Anthem. I wish they would have bounced back Anthem. Man, I loved Anthem so much. Like, I put in hours when that game came out. Man, I was streaming it every single day.
How do you mess up Iron Man the video game?
Bro, it was so good, man. All they had to do was just like bounce back like it wasn't like as bad as the No Man's Sky release, but if they would have bounced back like how No Man's Sky did, that game would have probably carried that entire studio. I'm not even kidding.
If they had spent another good like say 6 months to a year on that game and really worked on it,
dude,
it would have been Destiny. It would have been
Yep.
Destiny, like how Destiny 2 is just been that train
Should
that
have
does
been
not stop.
just like that.
But Paul, we have to have we have to give dividends to the shareholders. We can't just spend 2 years on a game.
It's a good idea to do that, but it's a terrible idea if your game company continues to fail because you're trying to give dividends to your. It's like why do you invest in a company to earn money? Okay, so instead of earning money in year after year, the company is entirely like cannibalizing its own corporation, its own structure.
Honestly,
to make
it
as
doesn't
more money.
matter because
it's so stupid.
FIFA and Madden make enough money for EA to get by. They can afford to let BioWare just fail and just go. That's how they do it with all studios. They take a studio that's successful, they buy it out, and then they run it into the ground. And as long as FIFA and Madden are making money, EA executives and shareholders don't give a rat's ass about what's happening to those ancillary studios. Because FIFA is a billion-dollar franchise. Billion-dollar franchise. Madden's close behind it.
All right, let's get into the question and answer session.
Yes, let's move on.
All right, welcome everyone to the question and answer session for our talking with Crew and HCVertio. So these are where I take questions directly from the chat. And there's one question which I saw earlier, which I don't think has been repeated. I'm going to pull it up. I'm going to ask this first question, which is okay. Do you think that we'll get a 320.x like within a month or so after the release, like they did with 317 and 318? So we might still get a 4.0 this year. We talked a little bit about that already, but no, because they've already confirmed that a 321 is coming out after 320. We do know that we're going to get a 320x patch because they want to add the
C1 spirit or A1 spirit.
I think both of them are coming in, and also a new mission type that's coming in for that.
We know we're getting a 320.x patch.
Yes,
we know 4.0 is not coming this year.
No, we don't necessarily know, but it's 100 almost like impossible at this point. If 320.1,
99.9% sure that it's not coming this year. There's always the hope that CIG will release 4.0 this year.
Literally anything can happen, but like when I say that, it's like I could become the king of England. That could technically happen at some point, but it doesn't mean it's going to actually happen. There's as much likelihood as me being crowned king of England as 4.0 being released fully this year. So sadly, no. It's a lot of people still talking about the stuff talking about Anthem. It's like, why are we having arguments? Play what you want to play. It's like, no, we were talking about how we wanted to play Anthem, but now Anthem's dead. It doesn't exist anymore.
Yep. Anthem would have been a great game.
Yeah.
How do you mess up Iron Man the video game? Well, it's simple. Give it to BioWare. They can mess up a glass of water. These days.
I would say. But yeah. All right, Stevie the Answer asks me, when do you think ship tractor beams will come in the PU? I think 321. I do think the 321 will see tractor beams.
I feel like they're close with ship tractor beams.
The
Hull C has tractor beam like turrets on it.
They've showed
quite finished yet.
they've showed it off in work in progress. They've talked about it in monthly reports that it's done.
We had an ISC about it too. So.
Yeah, the SRV has been finished for a couple months now. So it's like it's. I think what happened was that tractor beams in the SRV were ready before 320 was going to be kicked out the door, but they weren't. They didn't want to spend the amount of time they'd have to like really make those work for 320. So they pushed them to 321 because they were like, we don't quite have enough QA time and other things to really dedicate to it. Let's just focus on 320 and then we'll get that.
The fact that what makes me believe Paul's correct that it may be 321, maybe ship-based tractor beams, is because we have the new cargo crates, the containers, the ginormous containers.
Yep.
And it's just like, we need bigger tractor beams to deal with this 32 SCU monstrosity of a cargo container, besides the little handheld one you get.
Yeah.
So
there's just a lot of, all signs point to 321 is what it is. So
it may not be this year, and maybe next, like the first quarter next year, we get ship-based tractor beams working. We'll see.
Yeah. Gin and Tonic asks, I just saw a non-alcoholic Guinness Stout. What circle of hell did that crawl out of? Did someone of you have non-alcoholic Guinness Stout between us? I don't think so. No.
I think you seen one in the store. I think he was talking about that. He was looking for alcohol or something.
I don't know. Maybe some people just really like the taste. I don't know.
Yeah.
It's weirder things have happened. All right, Eminence in Shadow asks, will new types of racing come with master modes, like racing while constrained to one mode or another? Crucian, what do you think?
Well, you can only speed up and do those maneuvers in just that one master mode. I keep forgetting what it is because I'm just stuck in the combat one, but SCM, I believe. So, I mean, you can really only race in SCM mode. You can't really race in combat mode, so... Just, so you're pretty much going to be stuck there. I don't think you'll be able to race in combat mode, if I'm not mistaken. So I don't think that it was meant for you to race in that mode. So you're pretty much just stuck in SCM mode no matter what. So I don't think there are going to be any new races at all in, master modes. You're just in SCM and that's it. So
Vertigo, what do you think?
I like to see different racing modes, obviously, like different... maybe they'll have like a performance mode that's affected by like your ships. There's nothing to say that CIG can't add like more modes in the future. But yeah, like from the master mode I played, from the little bit of I did with master mode, like you can't race in combat mode. Like you just you're limited to how fast you can go. But if you go to quantum mode, like you got your full speed limit.
Yep.
So why not?
I'm actually very sad that they took the power triangle out, man. I'm actually very sad they did that, but
the reason why is because they're going to do the new resource modes. So So
no, I know that, but still, like, I think in combat mode you should have some type of, at least in combat mode by itself, I think you should have some type of resource management. Like it needs to be because.
And I think that what you just pointed out is a reason why we're probably not going to get master modes until we get that rework stuff, because like they really need, because this is testing in master modes. This is just testing because like a lot of master modes is based off the idea of being able to manage your ship systems, and ship systems management isn't going to be until multi-crew gaming comes in, and that's also going to be attached to like how you manage your own fighter ships and stuff like that. So there's just like I
think the power triangle is like this old idea from like Wii Commander that Chris Roberts had, and there's a lot of like ideas that were holdovers from like Chris Roberts' old games. I think CIG could probably like re-examine like shield faces. Like, do we really need to divide the ship neatly down, like literally in half?
Yeah.
Like maybe we divide the ship in half a different direction instead of like fore and back, it's top and bottom, because combat happens a little weird in Star Citizen. Or maybe
or things like emitters. Like they've talked about the idea of using emitters now. That's something they wanted to do. So you, instead of dealing with ship faces, you just do with emitter strength. So like each emitter has a certain area that it covers, and
So stuff like the power triangle, or like how close combat is with like master modes, and like this is kind of like a criticism a little of master mode. Like, maybe CIG, you just kind of like go with what the combat works instead of trying to force it to work the way you want it to. But they have a vision. They want combat to happen at a certain distance, so they're trying to force everything to happen to their plan.
Yep.
Okay.
Whether you like it or not, Star Citizen's combat in Star Citizen is going to happen a certain way, thanks to CIG, and they're going to meddle with it constantly to make sure make it that way.
Well,
Right,
hopefully
so-
they kind of, kind of give the player base a little bit of love too, because I think if they lower a skill ceiling to a certain point, I don't think combat is going to be any fun at all for anybody. So it needs to have some complexity some way or another.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so this is a question. Another question comes from Luna Maria, who asks, for each of you, if CIG told you you get to pick a ship to be reworked, what ship would you pick? I'm going to take the controversial decision because it's both my it's
Redeemer?
CIG's, yes.
He always hates the Redeemer. That's his thing.
The thing is that CIG has said it's my favorite ship because it's like, you know how the Carrack is Jared's favorite ship by obligation, by contract with the community. CIG has decided that it is my favorite ship, the Redeemer, by their standards. So and so if I hate that thing, so I would rework it, and I don't think I'd rework it much. I don't think it's a terrible ship. I just think that some of the problems in the interior space are bad. And I think that the cockpit is weird. I think the cockpit should be put down, like it should be on the first floor.
Okay.
Like I think you should have the cockpit on the basically take everything on the top floor and put it at the bottom, and then take everything in the bottom and put it at the top.
Have the crew area up top and the engineering down below, flight deck and engineering. That sounds pretty good. At least you'd be able to get components out of it.
Yeah, and you'd also be able to like give it a little like a hump. Right now it's kind of got like this like little scoop. I want it to be more like a hump on the back to make it a little bit better, because you could also get better view of the ground that you're trying to target with your gunships. The engines could get reworked, because right now the engines, like, they look unique, but that's it. Like, they should actually have a purpose. They should have some value to them rather than what they are. That's just me though.
Isn't the Redeemer the only community?
Yeah.
Pick ship. I wish they'd do it again.
Starship.
Yeah, I wish they would try it again somehow and have the community pick a ship that actually makes sense, instead of, like figure out what ships are already in the game and figure out what ships are needed, maybe on a smaller scale, maybe like, because for me, the ship I would want to rework that hasn't even got an inch of love is a Gladiator. That thing hasn't even got, that thing has been ignored for generations. So that's one thing that I would say. Yeah.
The other ones I would have said the Gladiator or the Freelancer. Like in all honesty, I think those things needs more help. But if it was like, if CIG was like, hey, here you go, what do you fix? I fix the Redeemer, just because it's the thing that bothers me the most. The Freelancer and the Gladiator, I'm like, I feel like they're going to get the updated, like they're going to get the love they need, because like they're in that list. But like the Redeemer is done and out, and it's not been out. It's not been out for very long. So it's like a lot of people are like, yeah, this is great. It's like no, it needs more. It needs more time to cook. Let it cook, CIG. Let it cook. All right. Vertigo, what do you think?
Well, I had like 3 ships that immediately popped to mind.
Mm-hmm.
And you said Gladiator in there. That was one of the ships. Because that thing, actually, Crucian said Gladiator. Top of the list would be Constellation Series. I'll just give it to Josh Coons and that's it. Just Josh Coons, here, take this ship. I wouldn't even give him direction. I would just give it to him. Just Josh Coons, you did the Cutlass Black and the Phoenix interior, the Phoenix module. Yeah, just take the Constellation Series and just do your thing. And the next ship I would love to see a rework on, like a complete rework on, because I hate the look of this thing, is the Redeemer. Everything front of the rear engines just is hideous.
That's what I'm saying. Like,
oh, I'm sorry, not the Redeemer, the Retaliator. I'm sorry.
Oh, Retaliator.
Oh, the Retaliator. Yes. I agree with that one for sure.
You take that area from like where the airlock is, that kind of center section there, from that forward.
Yep.
Just needs to be done. Like how it has a very bulbous area in the front, and then it necks down, and then it comes back out, get fat again. It's just like, I don't like that.
Well, I think CIG's actually doing that though, because they have to fix the whole area to make it so that NPCs can walk in it. So
yep.
Yeah.
So Connie, there's so many reships, Paul. I always get mixed up. Retaliator, Redeemer, Reclaimer. It's just want to make
Reliant.
Yeah.
Reliant now. Yep.
Yeah.
So yeah, those are like my 3 ships: the Constellation, the Retaliator, and the Gladiator.
Someone was asking what's the name of the game that I was talking about. It's called Void Crew. That was one of the questions. Void Crew. $17 on Steam, $18. I think it was like 17 and change on Steam.
What kills me is early access. I already have an early access game right now. It's called Star Citizen.
Well, it's early access, I think, because it's not content complete. It's one of those like actual early access games where it's like up in beta, but they just don't have all of the like skins and the ships and the modes quite yet. But it's pretty tight in terms of most of its gameplay. All right, next question. I'm trying to find it real quick. Is from Walter Hawk, who asks, last year we voted for an RSI mining ship. Do you think we will see info about that at CitizenCon? Also, do you think it will be multiplayer like a mole or solo? What do you think, Vertigo?
I think, I mean, sometimes CIG could do that where they have like a mining or a ship that does something that another ship does that the same class, but slightly different. I'm looking at like the Cutter versus like the Mustang Beta, Nomad Cutter, that kind of area. Their weight class is a little different, and they have slightly different features. Connie versus Corsair.
I think it's supposed to be a large ship. I think that's the RSI is supposed to be a large ship.
Yeah, you could have something similar to the Prospector that's maybe a little bigger. I would expect it to be multi-crew, at least 2 to 4 people. Potentially. If Paul's right and it's going to be a multi-crew ship, it would be larger than the Mole. Somewhere between the Mole and the Orion, because we don't have anything in that weight class. Yeah. In concept.
That's pretty massive, yeah.
The Orion is like Idris size, if I remember correctly, because they actually made it bigger.
Mm-hmm.
It was supposed to be like the original Orion, I think, was supposed to be about the same size as, like, I'm trying to think of a ship. And that way 890 jump size or something. Now it's going to be like Idris size or something.
Remember, it's called a mining platform. It is a mobile mining platform, not a ship. So you have to keep that in mind when it comes into it.
So if we were going to have like a ship larger, I would expect somewhere between the Orion, somewhere between capital size and mole size. So somewhere in there.
Man, a capital mining ship. Oh boy.
Crew, what do you think?
Honestly, I would like another something similar to the Prospector. I want to have options, and I don't think I don't like how. I mean, the Prospector has one of the best views in the game when you're sitting in the cockpit, but I would love to have another, whether it's a little size above with a little bit more, cargo space, so you can mine a little more. I would be down for that.
I would love to have a mining ship similar to the Prospector that has something similar to the Nomad, where you have like a bay in the back for a ground mining vessel. So you can do rock mining with like space miner or something with it, and then you can deploy a vessel from the rear of the ship to kind of get into caves and whatnot.
That'd be
cool.
Yep.
Yeah. I think because they said it's going to be a large ship. I think it's going to be a multi-crew ship with bigger than the Mole, smaller than the Orion. I'd love the idea of it being kind of like ground based or like ground capable, where you have like a cargo bay you can drive a rock out of,
like Connie. Or the 400i with its like special dedicated X1 little thing there.
X1.
Sorry.
Hey, we need that.
One of these days.
I want it.
Hey, they linked. Hey, they did say they're working on it. So
it's in Gray Box. But it's just entered Gray Box. But yeah, I'd expect it to be something like a Mole, but with processors. So it would be kind of like have its own, be able to like mine and then refine it on board. So you wouldn't need like an Expanse, but maybe not as efficient as the Orion. So as a result, I think we'll get more information on it, but I don't think we're going to see it. Because if it's going to be like Connie or above sized, it's a big ship. It's going to take them a year or so to make. So,
capital ships take them about a year. Bigger ships take them a couple months. And CIG's discussed this with like it was like a Star Citizen Live, and they've talked about it in the videos they do as well on YouTube. Excuse me. It takes them a while to actually kick out these bigger ships, and they have a choice. Do they do one big ship for the year, or do they do a bunch of little ships? Maybe they do one big ship for the year and it gets flight ready, and they do a couple small ships, or maybe they do 2 big ships for the year and then no small ships come out.
Well, they've also increased their staff since then. They have a brand new ship team in Montreal. which is now part of CIG. So they've got another team. They've got a Lyon office now, which I wouldn't be surprised if Lyon got a ship team as well. You know, there's a ship team already in the US and in the UK or the EU. I think there's a UK ship team, and there may be a different team in Frankfurt, but so there's more stuff going on. So, all right, Gin and Tonic asks, Star Citizen is going to kill Star Citizen with a drip of new content. Paraphrase. How much is enough? I think the real problem right now with Star Citizen is, and I think Crew nailed it, is Pyro. CIG puts out Pyro, the game will explode in popularity. Not because the game actually has content or because it's good or whatever, it's just because it's got a new system.
A new thing.
A new thing that's beyond what we have now. Unless
People
there's
wanna
like
see.
Bounty Hunting version 2 would also cause a lot more of an uptick because people are going, oh, we're going to see a brand new system in place. It's just 320 and 321 are not set up to have really anything grab you and bring you back, like new experiences. So
I think something I'll say for the new players out there, like people don't understand that they already have the concepts of a lot of the systems out there. They already have things that are probably in a hard drive somewhere already finished, and people don't know that, right?
Well, they have the entire star map finished. So they know what each system's going to be. They just have to build the planets and the resources, and they can generate new planets, and then they have to go. Artists have to go down there. Some of the systems are just going to be empty. They're just going to be like balls of rock, and you're just going to go down there and mine. Really, but CIG wants to have more like stuff for people to do when they go down.
I mean, I feel like Terra is probably already done for what I know. I mean, we've seen the city in a certain place already. Like, we already have a full concept of how it's supposed to look and whatnot. Man, I feel like with the addition to the what do you call it, to the office in Montreal, like all they're doing is working on. I mean, yeah, they have a ship team there, but all they're doing is just working on the environments and outposts and everything. So I'm telling you, people are like, once all the proper systems in, and one day all of a sudden, things are working properly and things are optimized. All of a sudden, you're gonna blink and there's gonna be a bunch of systems just popping out of nowhere, and you're like, what the hell is going on here?
Yeah, I do think there's a lot of people are discounting how fast CIG can produce systems because of how long it's taken them to make Pyro, and the people forget that the issue isn't Pyro, it's server meshing.
Yep.
Yeah. And so I think that's the key. It's like the reason why the drip of content would kill Star Citizen is under the understanding that until new big content comes out, it's hard to get people to come back to play Star Citizen. And if they continue to drip like that, they just try to stretch out what they have, it'll kill Star Citizen's appeal to people. Yeah.
As I said earlier in the last section we had, Starfield's not going to kill Star Citizen. Star Citizen's going to kill Star Citizen.
Yes.
If we constantly have like a slow drip fleet of almost, oh man, I hate to say it, but if we have a slow drip fleet of nothing burgers come out over the next couple of years, where there's just nothing that people are interested in coming, it's a little bit of quality of life. We've increased the quality of life a little bit more. But at least, where's Pyro? Where's Squadron 42? Like,
they need
you have to have that kind of big burst of energy to build hype around. It's like, oh, look at this, Pyro's coming out, and Bounty Hunting 2.0 is coming out. And Nyx is getting added as well, that kind of stuff. That's what people really want. But that's the hardest stuff to deliver.
And I think it's going to happen. I think it'll happen sooner than later. It's just a matter of right now it's killer because it's like, we don't know. there's no like indication of exactly when it's coming out, and CIG is tight-lipped about it. So it gets people to have those negative Nancy's of like, is it dead? Is what's going on?
I mean, I'll say something that somebody mentions, like, hey, this game could be done if you like loading zones.
Yes. Yes. I love Starfield, but once someone started pointing out to me how many loading screens there were, I was like, there is kind of an excessive amount of loading screens here, isn't it? Because I have it on an SSD, so it just goes boop 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 like super fast. I don't even think about it, but all right. So next question comes from do you think we'll see a shock announcement at CitizenCon? It's from Renaman McDonough.
It's CitizenCon. We haven't had one in about 3-4 years.
In-person CitizenCon.
Yes, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
I think we'll have. I think we'll have something big. They always do.
It's
in
2
my
years.
opinion.
It's not 2 years. It's 2 days.
Yes.
They better have something big.
Well, yeah, I mean, there's just so many. All right, tinfoil hat on. There's CIG chose to extend it to 2 days.
Mm-hmm.
So, and they have a party that they have to plan on that Sunday after the fact. So, my only thought is, and I know this is the case because I've been hearing community managers going like, like I have what my life is, what is going on. This is stressful right now. So I know they're planning it, and I know they're like not in. They're in a very stressful time for them. So if the fact that they're stressing out makes me go like they wouldn't have done this if they thought that unless they had something, unless there was something they were sitting on that they wanted to let out. And so my tinfoil hat is on, which is Squadron 42.
I don't think so.
We haven't heard a lot about Squadron 42. I think we're going to see an announcement or a
I'm
video.
seeing through the leaks channels here and this is a really good sign that stuff is finally starting to get nailed down and bolted into place is translations.
Mm-hmm.
Right? When you start seeing in-game text that players see and read translated into another language, multiple languages, that's usually a sign that that stuff is finished. That stuff ain't going to change anytime soon because it is a pain in the ass to go back in and pay someone to translate like in-game text that the players interact with, or like inner thought prompts, to change that stuff into German, French, Italian, Mandarin, Chinese, Japanese, Korean, Australian, because they speak a little differently than the rest of the world.
But I, to be clear, I don't think we're going to see a release of Squad 42. I think we're going to see an announcement.
We're probably going to see a hype trailer for Squad 42, and we're probably going to see a release year, like Squad 42 2025 or something.
Yeah.
I think Zero stuff is going to be talked about.
You're not going to get you're going to get a year, but you're not going to get a specific month or day.
You're not getting anything.
Maybe it's going to be a quarter. Yeah. It's going to be like 2025 third quarter or something.
I think that
like sometime in this quarter.
Yeah, because they talked about, because I think the last time they had showed Dammar and the Snake Worm and stuff, they said that they didn't want to show stuff that is super way out of reach. Mm-hmm. I think that they're gonna concentrate on what's coming out and celebrate what's coming out, which is gonna be Pyro, and they're not gonna say anything about as Squadron 42. I would give no information.
I will say that if that's the case, it would be a very disappointing CitizenCon because this would be the fourth year in a row of Road to Pyro. With that, I don't think it's enough. I don't think talking about Pyro is enough to fill 2 years or 2 days of content, unless it's just a rehash. It's got to be something. So, but we'll see. Next question comes from. Whatever happened to the road streets where they're going to build in the PU?
They're still working on it. They got the river tech, so roads are still planned, but they need to have everything finalized on the planet. Literally nothing's going to change, and then the roads will go in.
Yep.
Or they'll have like some sort of procedural thing between two outposts,
and they need to have outposts, which they're still building. So, like,
I'm excited for those
because all of the outposts we have in game right now are going to get overhauled. They're going to be the new techs that they're going to be building, and like they're going to look different. They're going to build them for pallets. So like, probably not this year, maybe not even next year, but at some point you'll have the outpost around Crusader will look completely different from the outpost around Hurston, or like the Rayari outposts will be a very specific way that they build it versus the Hurston outposts versus what is the mining company that's up there?
Shubin.
The Shubin
There's
outpost
as well.
They'll have their own pallets that they'll work with, and then they'll copy. So like there'll be different things like that, and I think those will that overhaul will be done post Pyro, but. All right. Next question comes from Axis, who asks, do you think we will see neutral settlements with possible mission givers in the coming 18 months? Crew, what do you think? Neutral settlements, you go in there, you hang out at a settlement, they'll give you a mission to go do somewhere else.
I mean, we have factions now, so I mean that could be a possibility. Where I mean, didn't they show that they did show that during presentation for Pyro, where you have to pretty much do the missions, bring the factions up, and I believe they're a neutral sentiment as well. So I mean, in the next 18 months, I think so.
Okay.
Yeah, I think so.
Vertigo. Do you think we're going to see like out missions you can collect at outposts and sort of thing? Next 18 months. So like next 2 years.
CIG's been using the mobiGlas for a lot of the missions, but having like mission boards where you can go to. I mean, they
like
showed off
walking up to like a dude in an outpost and being like, and then being like, hey, here's this mission I'd like you to do. Kind of like you see at Starfield sometimes.
I mean,
yeah, you see the.
I'm sorry to jump in there, but I feel like it'll be the same thing, right? Vertigo, like you'll hit your mobiGlas and say, hey, come down to this outpost. We'll give you a mission. Like,
well, I was about to say, like, CIG has showed off that they have the bounty, the jails they're going to put in for some of the space stations, I think. I'm trying to remember. They showed off a security checkpoint, Paul, a while ago on like inside Star Citizen.
Yeah, it was a while ago.
Yeah, and they said that was going to be the place you go to get like bounty missions. So I'm sure CIG will have players go to physical locations instead of using the mobiGlas all the time. You're going to go to physical locations to talk to it. Next 18 months, I don't think so. I'm not confident. I'm like 30% sure that would happen. Like I'm more unsure if it's going to happen, or more not sure it's going to happen than I am sure that it's going to happen. Because I haven't seen a lot of things that indicate to me that CIG is hooking up NPCs to talk to players to actually give them missions, or have like a physical board you go up to and interact with. I haven't seen anything on ISC. CIG's not talking about inside Star Citizen.
Yeah.
So
there is some mention of moving stuff off the mobiGlas for in monthly reports, but it's mostly directed at things like ship changing, like changing parts on your ships and stuff like that. But it's not really mentioned to the missions. You're right. There's some discussion about mission changes, but they've been vague about it. So it's hard to tell.
Yeah, I thought he was asking about like mobiGlas, like the hero missions that we have now, where it senses this person. But if he's talking about like literally going to an outpost and they're just coming up to you to give you a mission, then I don't think so. So I'll change my answer to probably not.
I think if they fixed mission givers or the mission givers, like the NPC mission givers, I think then we would have more of an indication. And there is some movement towards that, but it's like it's slow.
Like, I mean, we were supposed to get new mission givers a while ago, like the Bautista couple.
Yeah.
And who was the guy over at New Babbage, the bartender?
The racer? Or I know what you're talking about. The guy who was at Wally's bar. The guy who works at Wally's bar. Who's there, but he doesn't give
he has unique voice lines compared to all the bartenders. He actually has a different voice. So when you go up and you talk to him, and it's just like, oh shit, this guy doesn't sound Irish or Scottish or whatever. He's serving me drinks. Now he's supposed to be an actual mission giver, but like I said, CIG's not really interested in hooking that stuff up just yet. They're working through the mobiGlas right now, and I haven't seen them talk about anything about having to go to a location just now within the last couple of months to actually get missions. So I'm not very confident that's going to happen anytime soon.
All right, so we're gonna get a couple more questions here. Now since we've talking, a lot more people are asking questions. So I'll get through some of the more fun tongue-in-cheek ones, which is if CIG wanted to do product placements, Coke or Pepsi or other, whoever's paying them the most money will probably be the answer. It's a product placement. If they can turn it into a lore thing in lore, so it's not it doesn't stand out as being different like they did with AMD, and B, if it's
they could get like a FedEx or a UPS contract, and they just have like a UPS in the future just doing cargo delivery.
Yeah,
there you go.
All right, next question comes from Axis, who asks, we haven't heard much about modularity in quite a while, or the Titan suits. Could they be saving those for further down the road? Titan suits, at least it's heavily rumored that they're going to be a big part of Squadron, so we probably won't hear anything about them since then. They were mentioned in the Squadron 42-month reports. And in the last big, in June, I think, they mentioned that John Crew mentioned that the modularity stuff, the technical aspect of modularity is done. They've solved the problem of the technical aspect of modularity. It's now just a matter of actually making the modules work. So we have actually heard a lot about both, but just not
nothing ready.
not this year. So let's go down. Gin and Tonic asks, and I'll start with you on this one, Vertigo. Do you think the drought that we had was equivalent, though not as severe, as the drought we had waiting for 3.0? Do you feel that once the dam breaks, that the interest will be renewed, just like we had with 3.0?
The wait from 2.6 to 3.0 was pretty substantial. And 3.0 had a very long P2 phase as well. So no, I don't think the drought was nearly as big, because that was like almost a year, and 3.0 was only part. 3.18 was only part of a year in P2, and people could play the P2 if you wanted to give them $5 or $10 and get access to 3.18. You could. So no, I don't think it was as bad as 3.0. I think it was almost as bad as the release of 3.0. If I were to rate the releases for worst patches for like 3.18, I think 3.18 would be kind of like one not nearly as bad as 3.0 or 2.0, because 3.18 didn't debate you into thinking you could play the game like 2.0 and 3.0 did, where you'd load in, you'd crash, you load in, you'd crash, you load in, you'd crash. Like, oh man, maybe this time I get to play Star Citizen. Like, no, 3.18 was like, you just can't play. It went live. So I mean, like,
let's go to the other question. The other question part of that, which was, do you feel like once 4.0 comes out, it's going to be similar to when 3.0 comes out, where it's like the dam breaks?
Yeah, we're going to have a whole bunch of people come back for 4.0. People are going to like people have been reading about 4.0 and how it's supposed to be server meshing. Pyro Star Citizen is going to be like released and launched or something, or it's going to be closer to release with server meshing. So I think we'll get a lot. So I think a lot of people are taking breaks are going to come back and they're going to try it out.
Jen, no, I've read exactly what you said. Do you feel the drought we had is equivalent, though not as severe, as the drought we had waiting for 3.0? That's what you said. Just answered the question. So yeah, I don't think.
No, 3.18 wasn't. The drought we had was like 3.18 released. Like if you're talking about like right now, a drought happening right now, like no, this is not the entire goddamn year.
Yeah.
Like 3.18 released, and everybody came back.
Yeah, 263 was from January until November. Like, it was fucking massive. Like, it was an entire year.
Are you talking about like the drought since 3.18 released to now? Like,
yeah, though not as deep. I don't know what you're talking about with the deep stuff. But anyways, Crucian, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, what are your thoughts?
I'm
sorry, I'm interpreting the question the way I want to interpret it. That's what's happening.
Yeah, I think 3.0 was definitely way worse than 3.18. And I like I said, I think 4.0 is going to be the same thing. Mm-hmm. Things are going to break, things are not going to work, and we're going to have to wait, 1, 2, 3 weeks for them to kind of get it, stabilize while we're trying to get in there. I what I usually do is that I'll wait 2 weeks after a patch comes out, especially a patch as big as 3.18 and 4.0, and then I'll play it. And then if it's not working, I'll wait another 2 weeks. And then I'll just keep playing other stuff until I come back. So if the question is is there going to be a drought? Well, is the drought as bad as it was? I mean, the thing is, it is a very hard question to answer because we didn't have as many people playing back then as you do now because COVID. Obviously, everybody was home. Everybody was looking for something to play, and there's way more content being pushed out from Star Citizen than ever before. So you're seeing a lot more people, play the game or try the game out, or or gain experience. So I don't think it can be a comparable scenario, but I think for me to compare them, I think 4.0 is just going to be. I don't think it's going to be as bad as 3.0 was, but I think it's going to be somewhat as bad as 3.18, in my opinion.
Okay. Yeah, I'm gonna answer that. Y'all just covered everything I was gonna say as well, just in general. So next question comes from Axis, who asks, what manufacturer would likely produce our medium salvage ship? I would say, because right now we have the salvage ship is Aegis and
we have
Drake, right?
Drake, right?
Yep.
We have Drake Vulture and the large one. So it could be Argo.
Yeah,
Argo
or
would have to
RSI.
be
You see-
RSI. Probably be Misk or something.
Yeah, could be Misk. We already have that.
Or
What do
knowing
you-
my luck, it's going to be Anvil.
Yeah,
Because
yeah. Out of nowhere for some
Out of
reason.
nowhere.
just
Yeah.
to piss me off, it's just going to be here's a random industrial ship at Anvil made just because they wanted to try something different. They hired a guy for one day. It was like the Homer Simpson designs a car episode
Yeah.
of The Simpsons. We hired this one guy for one day, nepotism hire, and he designed this salvage ship that's just really awful. Here you go, Vertigo. We call it the Vertigo.
That'd be a good name for a salvage ship. Though,
Oh, fuck
actually.
off.
Crucian, what do you think? Which ship?
I would agree with the Argo
Yeah.
or Consolidated Outlands.
Ooh, Consolidated Islands would be a nice,
There you
nice,
go.
nice, a nice throw out there. Yeah.
Yep.
Petition CIG to call their medium salvage ship the Vertigo,
Vertigo.
and made by Anvil Aerospace.
That's gonna happen because I've been talking about like stuff I want to see in the next patch. I was
God.
complaining recently about the MFDs not being able to like have persistence, and
Yeah.
it shows up in like the next patch, and I'm just like, CIG must watch my stream or something.
Sometimes they do that. They have this bad habit of watching their content creators and taking our feedback, and watching the community and taking the feedback, and then people get surprised when it happens. So you got to watch what you say in Spectrum and watch what you say in streams. Everyone who does even a little bit of content, because it's like, see, I'm just watching. They're always watching. They may be watching this right now, which, why are you working? Go back to watching. Go enjoy your time. Go play video games. There are a lot of good games.
True.
All right. Next question. Gin Tonic asks, talking about the things that Starfield has that Star Citizen doesn't, what I find more striking are the things that Star Citizen has that Starfield doesn't. How do you feel about that? I don't think there's a lot of stuff that Star Citizen has that Starfield doesn't, other than like technical aspects.
It's released. It's fun to play. It doesn't crash nearly as much.
But I mean, like
The NPCs don't stand on stuff nearly as much.
it's more of like for instance, both Star Citizen and Starfield have mining,
Yes.
but they're completely different experiences.
Oh yeah.
Both
Mining in Starfield is like I could basically sprint across the surface of a planet and fill my inventory up. In
Yeah.
Star Citizen, you can't do that. You have to stop and concentrate a little bit, and then and then you can pick up the ore after you're done hand mining. But
It's
with Starfield, you're running full bore across the surface of a planet, jumping, doing the Call of Duty bunny hops, and you're just zapping mineral nodes with your laser as you're just spinning through this. You're doing like a 360 with your mining laser and just collect.
You can-
I mean, that's
Here's a secret: you can even shoot asteroids when you run into asteroid fields, and you can get mine minerals out of those asteroids. So blowing up asteroids and getting them. But the thing is that like Gin Tonic's like no loading screens, real space flight. I mean, what you're saying is more of a style difference. Like the style of Starfield is very different from what Star Citizen's going.
Oh my
for.
God, I got this, Paul.
Go
like
for it.
technical, right? Technical excellence, right? And we've had this come up before in gaming, where one game is more technically advanced than another game, but yet the less technically advanced game wins out due to like player-based adoption. StarCraft versus Total Annihilation. People are still playing StarCraft today. StarCraft Brood War, in fact. Total Annihilation had a whole bunch of expansion packs, but who the fuck remembers Total Annihilation? Most people remember StarCraft when you're talking about
sci-fi RPGs.
Sci-fi RPGs, yeah.
Not RPGs, TT or not. What is it? Real-time strategies.
Real-time strategy games. So sometimes it's about like marketing and market penetration and adoption rates and whatnot like that. People just pick something up and they play it because it's easy to pick up and play. So your game could have a whole bunch of technical whiz bam gizmos and what's in it, what's not. Like, oh, look at it. It uses it's a 64-bit processing and it uses all your memory. And it uses all the cores in your computer, and it's on like all the hardware. It works great, but your competitor that released a similar game is just funner to play. Not saying that's happening to Star Citizen versus Starfield right now, but there is something to be said about a game that's actually available to play and doesn't crash nearly as much as Star Citizen. It's released for actual money.
I will counter with, even though personally I haven't experienced it, Starfield is a released game and it still crashes, which should be unacceptable. You shouldn't have crashed.
There should be a lot of stuff that's unacceptable these days, Paul. That
yes,
the
I
gaming
know.
community has accepted.
I know. But I'm just putting that out there as well. Like
my experience with Starfield though is it doesn't crash nearly as much as Star Citizen.
Yes,
I experienced maybe one crash per stream. If I do an 8-hour stream and I'm playing Starfield, I crash maybe once per stream.
Yeah, that's still supposed to be a complete game. So
yeah,
I know.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that's what release game these days can you say works flawlessly out of the box?
Yeah, I mean even Baldur's Gate 3 had that problem, has problems, you know.
And it's a Bethesda game.
Yeah.
So I mean people were expecting a lot worse when Starfield released. Like my bar is pretty low when it came to Starfield when I first got my hands on it. So when it crashed that one time, and I'm like, this could be the mods I had installed that caused it to crash. Because I got that DLSS injector mod for it.
Yeah.
And I'm like, it could be that. I don't know. I guess we'll restart and just load our save game and be right back. Like, well, we lost 5 minutes of gameplay. Whatever. Let's get right back to where we were.
Yeah.
Because, the game actually, it's not a multiplayer game, folks. You can actually save your game. And then when you crash out, you load back in, and you just lost a little bit of progress, as opposed to Star Citizen, where you lose all your cargo when you crash out. Like, oh, your ship's just gone; it's deleted. Well, they got 30K crash protection, but you kind of get where I'm getting at.
Yeah, my whole point with the whole thing though is like, I don't, and I there's another question on there, like, what would you bring from Starfield to Star Citizen? And I'm like, I don't think there's very much. Like they're pretty comparable in terms of the type of content they're trying to get. It's just the way they're delivering it. Starfield has space flight. Star Citizen has space flight.
Let players design their own spaceships. Oh, I have one. Sick burn. Starfield has hex codes. You can paint your ship whatever color you want.
That's true. That's true.
Yeah, let's bring that over from Starfield.
But
I mean, I feel like you can't compare too much because like you talked about the mining, and from what I've heard, or you say, I haven't seen the mining yet, but it's like, is that mining realistic the way that you want it to be in Star Citizen? I wouldn't want mining to be in Starfield like the way it is in Star Citizen. I like the mining in Star Citizen. I want it to be complicated. I want you have to work for, what you're doing in the verse. You can't just, run around and zap things and call it mining. It doesn't work like that. So, like the ship customization, like, we're going to have that modularity, but with certain ships. If every ship was customizable to a certain point, like, what's the fun in having the different ships in the game in the first place?
Yeah, so, there's balance and there's other kind of aspects to it. So, like I personally can't think. The only thing I can imagine is things like, outpost building. CIG's already doing that. It's already happening. And like, I think that's probably the only real thing I would see that CIG takes a look at Starfield and goes, And I think it's less of a, can we add this, and more of a, how did they approach this problem? Can we take any lessons from how they approach this problem or not?
I'd rather CIG look more towards No Man's Sky for base building than Starfield, because Starfield base building is pretty basic. Like,
it's Fallout Force. It's Fallout 4's base building system. It's really what it is.
But No Man's Sky had a lot more power when it came to designing your bases in No Man's Sky, and just the monstrosities you could make. And I enjoyed it a lot more when I was playing No Man's Sky than Starfield. But jetpacks, everybody's been talking about it in the chat, and I figure I have to talk about this. I would love to see jetpacks in Star Citizen, even if they were really kind of like maybe one use. Like, you have a very limited fuel, you can just use it to jump up a little bit. But
here's the thing. I can almost guarantee you that jetpacks will be a thing in Star Citizen.
I hope they are.
MMUs, man maneuvering units, or things like, they're going to turn spacesuits into mini spaceships. They just don't have the resource system into them yet.
No.
So like, I can guarantee you, because the amount of nerds that love Star Wars at CIG is super high. They'll find a way to give you the Mandalorian jetpack, but you're not going to be like scooting around the whole planet with your Mandalorian jump back. It's going to be something to do for like with resources. Like you can have a nice little big burn, but you're going to lose up all your resources. So you're going to have to go refill.
You're going to have a hydrogen tank on that thing. You're going to get one good burn out of it, and then then it's just going to be a boat anchor on your back.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. So there'll definitely be some stuff there, but yeah, like I don't see anything that Starfield does that Star Citizen hasn't already done or is already planning to do. So, all right. Oh, Vertigo asked a question. I can see that now. Let's go down to the next question. Looking through some of it. Can they rework the whole sea and subsequent ships in the whole series so they don't look like sex toys?
Oh my!
What? What's the point? It's all MISC ships are penises. All right,
it's a little too much, Paul. Especially on the MFD. When you go to your ship status on MFD, it's a penis.
Look at a freelancer on your MFD. Look at
what I think they need to do
MFD.
Is they need to put gigantic balls on the front of the whole sea. That way, it looks like a dog's chew toy.
There we
right?
go.
Looks like a bone that a dog would chew on. Done. Listen, I fixed the whole sea.
I
give it chin cancer.
I just wish so I made this joke. So for those of you who don't know, MISC is headquartered in Saisei, which is kind of like space Japan. Mm-hmm. And for those of you who don't know, there's this very, very small festival that everyone talks about. It's in this like one spot. I think it's in Tokyo. It might be in a different city, but it's in this like very, very specific area of Japan called the Penis Festival, where they have penis shapes everywhere, and it's like candies and toys and all these sorts of things, and it's supposed to be this big festival for, I think it's like a fertility festival. It's like an ancient fertility festival that they just keep going because it's weird and unique, and so it gets a lot of attention and tourism to go there. So I've made the joke that MISC comes from that very specific, like the person who founded MISC came from that very specific part of Japan. And so now that just every ship is a penis. So just lean into that. All of their ships are penis shaped because it's part of their culture. Okay. Just accept it. Penis Festival is about 30 to 1 hours away from Tokyo. Yeah. Thank you. Yes. So it is Kanayama Shrine in Kawasaki, Japan. That's where the founder of MISC is from. That is my headcanon, and that is lore now. Okay, that's just how it happens.
A descendant.
Yes. Next question comes in. When are we getting ship armor? My camera crashed. Oh, let me turn it off and turn it back on because it's too hot here. So when are we getting ship armor? What do you think, Vertigo?
Ship armor, I don't know, 90 days tops. It's just 2 hours to
crew.
Do a net 1 hour, like to do the meme from Captain's Tickles. 1 hour from now, I don't know. They've been talking about ship armor for a long time, and physicalized ship damage for a long time, and it's kind of needed for Squadron 42. So I haven't heard anything on it recently.
We haven't heard much at all. Yep.
There was a mention. There was a mention of it at the German, there was a German fan convention. Like they said they built it, but they haven't really worked on it. Was it Con
42?
It was Con 42. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I don't even know. I haven't heard much about it, to be honest. So.
Yeah. So it's hard. Like we don't know. It's the answer there.
It's hard to say.
Jared. All right. See, I think that's it for most of the YouTube questions. Nothing else was really. Gonna cover everything. So let's get back here. HCVertio asks, do you think that with the arrival of the Scout and Expedition cutter variants, suggest 4.0 in the near future? Why did you ask that question?
Because someone else asked it and they didn't know how to do it.
Okay.
It was Space Lady Patrol.
The answer is no.
The answer could be yes, depending on how close the near future is.
That's true.
If near future is another year from now.
If we're doing CIG time,
yes.
If it's doing CIG time, yes. If we're talking about normal people, no.
No. No,
I mean-
no. If you're a normal person, yes. If you work for CIG,
Yes.
Well, somebody did ask if we feel like we're gonna get 4.0 next year and when next year.
I think the earliest with 4.0 would probably be June of next year. And I think
I would say Q3, but
yeah, but I think the Q3, because anytime you go Q2, it's like, but this could be in Q3. And CIG has this tendency to slip things that from Q2 to Q3 because it's CitizenCon and they liked. I don't think they do it intentionally. I think it's one of those like subtle things where it's like, well, like we could use another 3 months to work on it. We could use a little bit more polish.
I feel like at CitizenCon is when we're gonna know when we're getting 4.0. I feel like that's a viable option to know. Like, hey, Q2 2024, it's coming out. No more crap, So that's how I feel.
What do you think, Vertigo? What do you think we're getting 4.0?
Oh my God! Why are you doing this when stuff to me? 90 days tops.
This isn't CIG. We can just say names. And
okay,
people will take it.
With the next 2 years, 4.0. That's I've been saying for the past 5 years that Star Citizen is 2 years from release.
I wish I was joking
about that. I wish that was an actual joke. Other people can laugh at that, but I literally have been saying for the past 5 years, Star Citizen is 2 years.
2 years from release. Well, it'll always be.
Yeah, it's always 2 years. It's always.
The Mad Alchemist asks, "Do you think we'll get player outposts that will have agriculture capabilities? The Endeavor will have ag domes. Will that kill planet-based AG options?
We're going to have base building, so of course we're going to have farming. That's literally one of the things that Chris Roberts wanted in Star Citizen is player farming.
I wouldn't doubt if they just took the Endeavor dome concept and then make that a thing you can build in terms of outposts. Yeah. We're not getting the outposts we have now. The outposts we have now in game are like early concepts. They're going to be completely reworked before the game even enters beta. So
here comes the space farming ships now. Hey,
yeah, it'll happen. QPen asks, have any of you gone to say your goodbyes to PO? I haven't yet, but I had to reinstall the game. So have you gone to PO?
I need to do that. Isn't there like a special achievement or something?
Yeah, you get a little patch for it.
Icon on Spectrum.
Yeah, you get an icon on the. Oh, why the fuck? You get an icon on Spectrum. Who the fuck goes there?
I mean, not to sell out here, but I mean the merch that we put out literally pays homage to PO.
There we go.
We did a collaboration with Atmo Esports CitizenCon, and literally the entire back is all not this one. This is the jersey, but the back of it is all PO and stuff. So I'm not saying buy merch, but
I'm saying buy merch. Go buy Atmo Esports merch. It's cool. I have my Fight or Flight still in the that I hear. It's gotten pilled and stuff like that. I need to get another like actual jersey so I can go work out in it, and so people can ask me like, "What the heck's that?" at the gym. So,
dude, people see this stuff when you go out and be like, "Yo, you play Star," and then it just an entire new conversation. Like best friends. Yo, give me your gamer tag or give me your in-game name and yeah. So.
All right. TFX Pasternak 1 asks, do you think we will see a larger Vanduul ships in game anytime soon, but not to fly, but to fight against after Squadron 42, when Squadron 42 comes out? We have them. They're in the game. We've seen the models. They've had them in the game for a while. It's just the Void Bomber and the what was it?
The Stinger, the Void Bomber, the Hunter.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. All of them, the destroyers, but I think CIG would call those spoilers because they want you the first time you experience those ships to be in squadrons. So, Kavion asks, what are the chances the Kraken makes an appearance in Pyro, like the Idris makes an appearance in Stanton?
That would require CIG to actually be working on the Kraken. And good evidence of CIG actually working on his ship would be them talking about it on Inside Star Citizen and Star Citizen Live, and seeing leaks about it,
or mentioning it in the monthly reports, all of which they have not done.
So I don't think the Kraken's coming with Pyro. We don't know when Pyro's coming with 4.0. So maybe it will, maybe it won't.
Yeah.
I think people will be mad if the Kraken's out and the Merchantman's still being worked on.
Yeah. When Sandy Roberts mentioned Star Citizen coming to console, do you think it was a mistake or a leak? Chris didn't seem happy. If I remember keep people bring that up. I don't know where people are getting this, and the person, one person who mentioned it in my chat said it was like a question that she asked to Chris or something like that on a panel on Japan or China. I don't even know.
It was a bar citizen in China, but I don't think Sandy was there though.
Yeah, I don't know where this is coming from.
Yeah.
So,
Sandy wasn't in the bar citizen in China, but I mean, could it come to console? I don't see why not. I think the game has great controls. Believe it or not, Anna Dimitro plays with a controller.
Yeah.
If you believe it or not. So it works very, very well. There's some things that obviously you got to swap out, but when you're driving your flying your ship, doing all that good stuff, you literally playing with a controller. So
I don't think Star Citizen will come to the consoles, but I think Squadron 42 could be cut down to work on consoles.
I agree. Yep.
It's built on an engine that's designed for consoles. So, you know, like at its core, the new Crytek engine, which is now Lumberyard, which is now Amazon's open source engine, or whatever it's called, it's at its core, Crytek 3 was built with console like in mind. So, yeah.
She called. Yeah, they said they called on a video call to the bar citizen.
At a bar citizen. Okay.
Anyways,
and I know people are quoting "I'm a PC game." The people forget the reason why people were upset about PC games, or like why it was a big deal that Star Citizen was a PC game. It wasn't because Star Citizen was only ever going to be on PC, but because it was designed with PC in mind first, and then ported to console would be the idea. And that's the kicker.
I'm gonna tell you right now, all the companies that are doing console first and then porting to PC, big mistake. The other way around is a lot easier. So just putting it out there.
Yeah, and that's what it used to be a long time ago. Was you make it on PC first and you port it to console. And,
put it to console. Yep.
So. Yeah. In 2012, the talk was that PC gaming was dead, and that was the whole concept of like Star Citizen. And so, like, it's been mentioned multiple times. This isn't the first time that the idea that Star Citizen or Squadron 42 being brought to console has been brought up to CIG before. And every time CIG has said, every single Chris Roberts Wing Commander game was on a console, even though it's famous for being a PC game. Every single Chris Roberts Wing Commander game was on console.
I mean, I don't see why not. The more the merrier. That's what I say.
Yeah. So the only one that hasn't been on console that Chris Roberts made was Freelancer. Freelancer was only a PC game, but Wing Commander was a PC game. Yes.
Yep. Phantom Wing Commander was a PC game. Yeah. They also released them on consoles.
So. I think it's probably taken out of context, or other, not taken out of context. There's probably some other thing or confusion on Sandy's part. Sandy is a member of the board. She is not a developer. So like, I don't know if I haven't seen the full, the full video. I'll have to look that up after. I'm not going to look that up on the stream there, Lucas, but, I don't think we're going to see Star Citizen on console anytime soon. And if anything, I think we'll see Squadron 42, but after its release. So, and anyone who's panicking about that is silly. So, all right. Should the goodbye to poor O be awarded in waves to allow people to write up bug reports for when it doesn't work, or is there a reason for the badge to drop post next patch? That's just a silly question. Sorry, Guns and Glue. Gin and Tonic asks, when do we see outposts that aren't just ruins? Can we have some functional small towns scattered around, please? I believe the Frontier Outpost stuff is done or close to being done. I wouldn't be surprised if it ends up in 3.21, but probably 4.0.
Yeah, I think 4.0. I mean, they showed that already, but yeah, I say 4.0 as well.
Vertigo, what do you think? When do you think we're going to see like the non-ruined outpost stuff?
God, it's weird that they started with ruined outposts, but they've been talking about it, so I'm expecting it soon. But Stan really isn't a settled. Well, they don't really have like a lot of the outposts. The frontier's been kind of thing happening in Stan because all the planets are owned by corporations, so they probably don't want people just randomly settling on their planets. The lore for it is not quite there, so I think we would have some though. So probably sometime before 4.0 next year, we think we'd have actual intact outposts because they've been showing it off.
Yeah.
In Star Citizen Live inside Star Citizen. So you think they would have like the actual, here's an actual complete outpost. But the stuff they've been showing off is more for like the settler style, the colonialism style. Like you're out there, going out there, starting a little town by yourself with your family, and you're just kind of living off the land away from everybody. That's the kind of bases they've been showing off. Those are what the ruined outposts are, at least.
So correction, the chat saying that the question was about a console version of Squadron 42, not Star Citizen.
Homesteads.
Yeah, the homestead stuff.
Homesteads,
They're called they're called like the frontier style outposts is what they're called, or something like that.
Do you think we'd have like one or two of those in stands somewhere, where some crazy guy living in the hills of Microtech?
Well, we have a bunch of ruined homesteads, so why wouldn't there be complete homesteads still kicking around somewhere?
Because the corporations bought the planets from the Empire, and they kicked everybody off the planet after they purchased the planet.
Yeah, but why are there destroyed, ruined outposts and not just
because they haven't been maintained, or they the Microtech came in and bombed them to make it so people couldn't have shelter? I mean, like, if you don't want people squatting on your property, if someone erects like a little temporary shelter on your piece of land, like, what are you going to do? You're just going to leave the shelter there so someone else can move in and just use it? No, you're going to tear it down and burn it or something. Just get rid of it.
That could be the case, but you wouldn't be. I could still see those existing somewhere, because like there's still abandoned outposts and stuff like that out there that are kind of functional. So
Hershon weapon testing sites. That's what they call trespassers over by Hershon.
I'm actually doing a full video, a lore video on the original settlers of Stanton, which is, there's some juicy information about it. Like the settlers of Stanton could be as old as the first Tavaran War.
I can imagine it. Like,
so
whenever they discovered like the first jump points, I can imagine people will just like whoever could afford to buy a jump drive was probably just going out there with whatever they had in hand. There's probably outposts out there that got separated from the Empire, and they've been gone forever.
Yeah. If someone's saying to me they're not complete until we have proper NPCs in them, there are proper NPCs in the ruined outposts. They're just very angry.
They're very angry about you. Get off my line, kind of angry.
Shoot first, ask questions later, kind of angry. Question: how do you feel about the limited on-foot distance you can travel in planets in Starfield? I'm sad about it, and I wish it was more option, but it's just how the game is.
For a game that massive, you have to do it that way. If not, you're going to be building another Star Citizen. Pretty much.
They would have had to build a new engine. The creation engine doesn't function like that. So, what do you think, Vertigo?
Oh my God, you're asking me more when questions?
No, I'm asking the question is how do you feel about the limited on-foot travel from Starfield?
Okay, we're talking about Starfield. I mean, it's fine. Like, I haven't hit the side of the map yet. Like, you
really have to go. You really have to go. Yeah, it's like 12 kilometers in some cases.
You land in this gigantic 12-kilometer box on foot, and you have you can go maybe 20% faster run speed, and you have little jetpacks that give you a little bit of boost as well. It'll take you a few minutes to actually hit the edge, and there's nothing between you and your ship, between you and the edge of interest. I mean, mining maybe. Like, okay, you have 12 fucking square kilometers. Like, who gives a shit? Like, you have to do everything on foot, and it's slow as shit. Like, just move just get back into your ship and move the ship, right, to a different landing site. If you want something else to, if you want to have another, procedurally generated 12 kilometers to work with, and maybe you'll find something. That's basically what I do. Like, yeah, cool. It would be great if they had vehicles that moved fast enough to actually hit that edge sooner. It would be a problem, but it's all, like I said, you get out of your ship, you're on foot. You don't have like a bike, a motorcycle or something. You don't have a rover to load yourself into. You don't have a horse with like a space helmet on that you could ride. That'd be hilarious. Bethesda should do that. Have a horse. You put a helmet on.
Modders have done that. You say that now. Now modders have done that. It's there now. It's a thing.
But yeah, it's one of those things. It's just technical. One of those technical things. Like, Star Citizen does better technically than Starfield. But the question is, like, how much does it actually bring to the experience? to be able to have infinite land to wander around on. Right? You
The
land
cost
and you have
versus what's that term?
the empty space. Does it really add anything?
Yeah, there's
between points of interest.
There's an idiom.
A technical debt, something
No,
like that.
it's something like is the juice worth the squeeze?
Yeah, there you go.
Is the juice worth the squeeze? And to Bethesda, the answer was no.
Yeah, if you want points of interest to content to consume, you land your ship and you have like 3 or 4 points of interest right next to your ship, like within 500 meters, which is a few minutes worth of walk, and you can shorten it up with like some drugs that make you improve your move speed. But sometimes you'll move out to those points of interest. You'll discover more caves, another monument or something, or a ruined facility that's been taken over by pirates, and you go clear them out and you find another mission. Literally, I've had that, by the way, where you go, you wander out into the surface of a map. You find like points of interest, some mining nodes, and you find an empty facility that's been taken over by pirates, and the pirates had a note on him, and the note takes you to another system.
Yeah,
and it's just gets crazy. And you forget about the boundaries when that happens, because there's always more stuff to do. Because every time you land somewhere in Starfield, you'll always be within 600 meters to 500 meters of a point of interest that'll have something for you to do. Hostile NPCs, friendly NPCs, neutral NPCs, or you'll have like some sort of monument you can discover for like experience points, and then you'll have even more points of interest. Once you get close to that point of interest, you'll see something else on your scanners that you can run to check out. And then once you get tired of running all over the place, you just fast travel back to the ship, take off, and land somewhere else, and you'll have even more points of interest generate next to you.
Yeah, it's hard to tell, and they've crafted it's hard. You don't feel like you're trapped in a box. I'll say that. You feel like you're getting content, and it's just the density of content is pretty big. It's actually kind of tedious to walk in Starfield sometimes, especially when you constantly overloaded with stuff.
Just take the fitness perk, for fuck's sake. Level 3 is like an extra 50 kilograms.
I have it completely maxed out. It's 250 kilograms at that point. So it's
why are you picking up all the trash? Like, you could craft a lot of that stuff. I have that exact problem. I had to design a base to throw all my resources in.
I did too.
And
I have a base that just dumps stuff into.
And I constantly have to add new warehouses to that base. And it just, like, the warehouses, like, I don't like how they all snap together, but I have this gigantic line of like warehouses and like solid storage for like my actual stuff I pick up, and it's just like constantly have to keep going back. I had to design a new ship with more cargo capacity just because of all the crap I was constantly picking up through all the missions I was doing.
So many succulents. Yes, I love that video.
Caveat says we all have a hoarding problem. Yeah, well, it's a Bethesda game.
I am a loot goblin. I will never not be a loot goblin. You cannot stop me.
If you like being a loot goblin, Starfield has your crack. It's like everything. You can pick up stuff that has no value. Literally, like you walk into a base, you killed a bunch of pirates, and you can pick up all the scalpels off the shelves and whatnot, like the impact drivers, the power tools, the attachments for the power tools. You pick that stuff up, you go to the merchant, and you sell it all for 1 credit. It's like, it's not worth the juice isn't worth the squeeze.
Yeah. All right, going back to the questions. We only got 4 more left. I will answer one question. Someone did say, "Wait, CIG might release Squadron 42 onto consoles. I thought they weren't going to even release it on Steam." Let me explain what I believe CIG is thinking about when it comes to these things. I could be wrong. I'm not CIG, but based off of what I've seen CIG and how they talk, this would be my guess. Star Citizen or Squadron 42 will release on PC under their launcher, specifically through CIG. After a couple of months, maybe a year or so, they'll have worked out a deal with either Sony or Microsoft to have one of their companies take Squadron 42 and turn it into a console release, so that CIG doesn't have to do any work, and they can get some money from the sale, and Xbox or PlayStation will get an exclusive access to it for whatever. Just because CIG doesn't want to have to spend money and time doing those sorts of things.
It's a smart way. I mean, why not tap into that market? Because you're going to bring those console people that has a PC into the PU. It's just smart business.
Also,
That's
also
what it is.
their money spends, and if you're not working on, if you're not putting resources into it, then cool. And lastly, like for Steam, yeah, once they felt like the market is saturated with how much they can get out of their launcher, yeah, put it on Steam. Yeah,
A lot
would
of games
put it
do that.
on,
A lot of games release on Steam and they go free to play.
I
A lot of
mean,
MMOs do that.
you put it on the Epic Store
Epic
because
Store.
Epic Store they only take 5%. It's not
Yeah.
bad. Steam takes a lot more, but Epic Store has been super popular lately. So
Yeah, you'll have CIG will release it in every store they think they can get the money from after they've reached what they think is they can do. You know, like a couple of years or so.
Yeah. I mean, they could release Squadron 42 on their own platform, and then when they feel like the sales have tapered off enough, they just release it on Steam. And sure, Steam takes 30%, but it's more money, right?
Yeah.
They've already spent the money to make Squadron 42, so sure, no one's buying it off the robertspaceindustriescom website anymore because they can see that number. The number has gone down to almost nothing. And then they release it over to Steam, and maybe they see an uptick in purchases from Steam. Sure, at 30% less than what they're asking, but still, it's more money coming in.
Yep.
Yeah.
I mean, that
Sounds
brings
like a
in
smart-
more skin purchases, more subscribers, whatever they're doing after the game's released. But
this is just Squadron 42. Like Star Citizen would be a different concept entirely. If they released Star Citizen onto Steam, Steam would take 30%.
I'm just saying, like,
not?
but if once Squadron 42 is done, what they're gonna do? Go play the PU. So,
Yeah.
And as Chaz pointed out, again, every Chris Roberts Wing Commander game has made it to console at some point. Even the first one was on Nintendo NES, or was it Super
Nintendo? I remember playing Super Wing Commander.
Yeah.
And for those of you who are saying that, didn't Chris Roberts say that Star Citizen was going to be a PC only game? Well, let me tell you about when Squadron 42 was supposed to come out. Let me tell you about what was supposed to. Yeah, they've said a lot of stuff over the years, and they changed their position on it. So it's entirely on the table for them to do a console release for Squadron 42 or Star Citizen. It can happen. I
just don't see them doing it because there's technical issues early on. It will be a post release of some kind. It's more of those. Elite Dangerous did it. Like, you know, they released Elite Dangerous, and then it took them a couple of years, and they released it on Xbox. Like, it'll happen. So. All right. Coffee Gaming asks, new Squadron 42 vertical slice at CitizenCon, maybe? Maybe. That's what I think. I think Cruz says no.
I hope so.
You know. All right. We got 3 more questions. Nemesis asks, cargo manifest of what is on any of your ships anywhere must be a thing. Put on a Moby Glass. It is. It's on what is that thing called? Knickknacks?
Oh yes, on the Knickknacks app.
They have it. It's terrible, but you can see it on every ship, on where your ships are and what's on those ships. And if it's not fully that detailed, then it will be. So,
work in progress, like everything else.
Yeah. I'll ask you this question there, crew. Do you think Arena Commander would benefit from going free to play?
I mean,
Arena Commander free to play? Yeah, sure. Why not?
It'll just bring more people in the PU.
Yeah.
So yes. But Arena Commander needs to be fleshed out a lot better than what it is now, to be honest.
Yeah.
So.
Yep. I agree. I think Arena Commander free to play would be great once it gets to the 3rd stage, whatever that. They've been talking about the 3 stages of Arena Commander, and this is stage 1. So once they get to that stage 3, we'll see. But last question is from Steve the Dancer, who asks, when will we get new hair for our characters they told us about a year ago? 1 hour.
I don't care about hair right now.
90 days tops.
September 5th. It's coming out September 5th, 2023.
There you go.
That's when it's coming out. That's the thing that Jake's been doing now. Whenever someone asks him a win question, he'll tell them a couple of days before the current date. It came out in this date. It's coming out this date.
If you're worried about hair, man, I don't know what to tell you, man. That's all I'm gonna say.
I will say in a more serious answer that I think they've mentioned it in Squadron for a 2-month report. So I think it's because, for those of you who don't know, the entirety of the character creation system is getting an overhaul. Completely new character creation system, which they've been building from scratch for Squadron, which will probably transfer over to the PU. And that system has the new hair, and all of the NPCs in Squadron have the new hair stuff. So, yeah. 3rd stage bargaining.
Oh my God. What is it? Stage 6 is like acceptance.
Yes.
The stages of grief, everybody.
The other thing was they showed off the ship map and new UI for Moby-Glass a while ago. What do you think that's keeping them behind? It's on Squadron, y'all. Like literally, like that question. These in the Squadron 42 month report. It's done. That stuff is completed. They've been testing it extensively. It's some of the leaks have been coming into the 320s PTU builds have had some like remnants of the new Moby-Glass in it. So it's there. We'll probably see it at CitizenCon. All right. I think that's the last question. There's a couple more questions coming in, but it's all right. Thank you.
Let me answer this real quick because Jonas said something about here, and a lot of people don't know this, right? I want people to understand this because he's asking. He said, "We have just seen HDR added to 320 PTU. What other graphics options?" You guys know that this game does not have any NVIDIA tech at all.
Yeah.
So like,
not yet.
Me, that's what I was about to say. You know how wild it's gonna be when they actually input any NVIDIA tech into the game at all. Is gonna look, to me, a million times better than what it looks already. But I just like want people to. A lot of people may not know that they think like, hey, maybe there's some NVIDIA tech, but there's none. For those of you guys that may not know, but there's none of it, and look how the game looks now.
Yeah,
so
it looks great. And Vulcan's coming out, which will make it so that Star Citizen can run on a potato. Vulcan is incredibly impressive like API system, and it's really efficient. And on top of all of that, it is also it keeps things looking very good. Like I remember seeing a video of the original Doom 2016, the 2016 Doom running on Vulcan when they ported it over to Vulcan, and it was like running on effectively a shitbox PC, and it was almost as good. It looked almost as good as like the top end PCs in 2016. It was
That's awesome.
Damn, how good that thing is at efficiently making it work. So, and if there's one team in gaming that I trust will absolutely go hog wild with all of the equipment they can with the amount of money they've been throwing at them, it's the graphics team at CIG. Those people will sit there and be like, wait, can we like, how much like stuff can we cram into this game before it explodes? Like they are dedicated to making it as crazy as possible. Like the clouds right now are pretty good, but CIG is constantly going like, but it could be better. We could improve this. How can we make it more efficient? Can we make it look better? How can we make sure that the God rays coming through are reflecting off of the surface of this? They are crazy. They will do that. Like they are that insane. And so it'll only look better after a while. So yeah. All right. Well, that was the show. Thank you to Crucian and HCVertio for coming on. This was kind of a last minute thing. It was great to come on and talk about this. If you enjoyed this, make sure you're checking out HCVertio and Crucian, and of course Atmo Esports on their social medias. And if you enjoyed this full thing, make sure you hit that follow button on Twitch. Make sure you subscribe on YouTube, like the video. Follow the podcast. This should be the first video podcast in a long time that I've put up because I keep forgetting to put up the podcast versions of Captain's Table. To be fair, I think we've had 2 in the last 4 weeks, so I just have to kind of actually put those up there. As always, if you're on YouTube, make sure you ask questions down below. If you're on the podcast, leave a rating, and you can ask questions there too, and I'll do my best to answer those. But yeah, thanks for watching, and like I say every time, hope to see you someday in the black.
Oh boy.